This program is rated MA. It contains adult themes, coarse language, sexual references, and violence.
All right, everybody, what's up? It's Friday night, open comms. We're all here.
Hello.
The whole crew.
Hello.
Hi. We got Dirk
Hi.
here. I'm Drayden. We got Drunk Canadian. We got Rain. We got Blast Him to Hell. And then we got two guests with us. We got Sintonia. How's it going, man?
Yo, it's going pretty well.
And then we also got Opner Dresden back from Explicit Alliance.
Hello.
And Sintonia's aggressive. Okay, so you're Aggressive Feeding Corporation. Say the name of your alliance again.
It's Felines of the Egg of the Lisa.
That.
Yeah, that.
Why did you do his green screen?
Because I was making his
Do you
nameplate.
want me to take it down? It might be easier.
No. I just I was doing your nameplate first. I figured
You just let him have the wrinkled green screen.
it's kind of a cool
that's even more of a fucking.
it's kind of a
just
cool
so people know,
background.
that's not a wrinkled green screen. That's just a green design that's behind Sutonia.
Yeah, it's like I kind of it kind of gives it a cool effect. It almost looks like something else, but.
But anyways, yeah. So we brought Sutonia on tonight because he's a member of the CSM. So therefore, you were or were not up in Icy Land.
I wasn't at the summit this year, but I attended every single meeting remotely. So
It's very diligent of you, Sutonia. I heard that Jin Tan didn't make hardly any of them.
oh, he had the university exams, so you know they're slightly more important. Only slightly though.
Should have thought about that back when he ran for office. But
yeah, why
anyways,
run if you can't show up?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jin Tan. What the fuck?
I love how we're chirping him and he's not here to defend himself. It's
But
perfect.
we got Sutonia here who's going to help us see what's going on with the assault frigate rebalance and that crazy new damage control unit thingy that
The
we'll talk
awesome
about.
damage control.
Yeah, that we'll talk about in a little bit. Brought Opner on because I wanted to have a voice to kind of tell me about what's going on out east with kind of a low yield Keepstar fight. We're all used to like big shit and whatnot, but they're having something out there with kind of a mini Keepstar or whatever. So we're gonna hear about that. Look, I tried to get somebody from Tri. I tried to get somebody from Tri, but really was having kind of a hard time finding it. I'm really not familiar with all that many people out there in Tri-Land. So if there is anybody listening tonight from the Tri-Zone that wants to come on and kind of be sort of that side of that side of the discussion, I don't mean like to fling shit or anything like that. That's not what, but just sort of like to hear kind of their side of kind of what's going down out there so far. Whisper to Drayden and we will get you in. But yeah, so anyways, I guess we'll start off with just sort of, I don't know, like a little bit of news. Falcon, hopefully by next week, we'll see. Hopefully by next week we'll have the CSM minutes out. What Falcon said today out in the forums was they're currently being prepared. They'll be released sometime in the next week or so. So I'm really kind of hoping that like they're released like next Thursday. That'd be
Yeah,
really
I think
convenient.
CCB Guard said he wanted to get them out by Wednesday-ish or ready to go out. I mean, that's not like a set deadline, by the way, so don't get disappointed if they don't come out. But that's the kind of where they're shooting for. So hopefully they should be out by Thursday.
Sutonia, do you get a say? I've heard CSM kind of gets a say of what goes in or what doesn't go in the minutes. Is that true?
Well, I mean, within reason.
So, I told you on my bet, right? If you get pink skins mentioned 3 times by yourself as supporting them in the minutes, I will buy you all your drinks at FanFest.
Well, that's not actually in the minutes, but there are pink skins coming, as you've probably seen the new Eros skins.
That's actually
Sure,
on
it's
the
fine, Jared.
agenda.
So I win the bet.
Well, since you guys brought it up,
You
fucking
can't
front
win
row
the-
in the goddamn show notes.
You
I'll
can't
link,
win the bet.
I'll link it out there in the Twitch chat. This is these are images from Sissy that apparently these skins. Go ahead. You want to talk about these skins? Tell us what they are.
So obviously, as you can see, they're pink. To the right of the first screenshot, you can see all the ships that get them. So it's not actually a lot of ships. So if you think of the past when CCP did pink skins, they did, I believe it was the majority of the ore ships or the mining ships. This time it looks to be a handful of some pretty size or decent capitals, as well as the angel skin line. And I know they're finally doing more skins.
Angel skin line.
Yeah, so the Angel Cartel ships. So
Yeah, no,
you
I
have
just, the skin line.
Well, you know what I
I
mean.
see.
So...
I see where you're going with that. Yep.
Yeah, the event is like the angel event.
Are they gonna
they're
have
an event?
Are they gonna have juicy written across their docking ports?
That's good.
Because I mean, like that.
Fuck you. That's
so good though.
Well, damn it! Now I know what I want to ask.
Or
next
yum.
time I see a dev. I don't want Hello Kitty skins anymore. I want juicy.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
these aren't the they're not the first pink skins to be to come into the game. The last ones came in for what shit like the Retrievers and the Mackinaws.
Yeah,
and
the ore
Hulks and-
ships.
Yeah, the ore ships. So I mean,
So Buck's saying they look like
Just
a
more.
pastel purple than pink, and he's a bit right. So they do look more purpley than pink. It's like the light pink towards the end, and then it looks like a dark brownish red almost. I'm not quite sure. These have Mimitar like lights in the background, so I can't really tell. But I think having them for the angel ships is nice, because for those who don't know, Angel Cartel, I believe, are the only pirate race that don't have a victory skin from the AT.
But Drayden, when you said juicy, were you like kind of referring to Juicy Couture? Or...
I don't know, the chicks
Like
that have the
those-
sweatpants.
those
that say
seen
Couture
ju-
that wear
the
those
sweatpants.
whores
it
that wear
says
those
juicy
sweatpants
across
that say
their
juicy
butt.
across
Like
the
it's
ass.
yeah,
Occasionally it says
juicy on the
yum.
ass.
Don't forget yum.
Like
Can you guys stop?
We cannot. If there's pink skins coming in,
I just
we
wasn't
cannot
sure
stop.
if that's what he was referring
Yeah,
to. But I'm
I'm
glad.
just happy
I
for
gotta go
pink
make sure
skins,
hip hop's
okay?
not downloading something, because I'm dropping frames and people are starting to see.
He's on
now.
the prawn. I
Dude.
guarantee you.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk in there. He's gonna have like
I'm just
the.
excited.
He's gonna have the
I'm just
lotion. He's gonna have everything.
The
This is gonna be
thorax
awkward.
is finally
Leave your
gonna
mic
look
on.
appropriate.
Yeah, you're kind of fucking like a little digital up there.
Yeah, I know. It's
A little
like the. Yeah,
Digital
OBS is, the connection is, it's like going green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red. So I don't know what's going on.
Go smack.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
your
on the
OBS
prawn.
connection is doing that.
All right, but anyways, yeah. So so now what? We think that these are going to be part of a
An event?
event.
Yeah. So I think
Is like
Tony typed in
National
chat.
Breast Awareness Day or something like that.
No,
coming
so
up, or-
October's breast cancer awareness month, and February is actually heart health awareness month, as well as Valentine's Day. But
And Black
Sutonia
History Month.
mentioned, yeah, Black History
I
Month
don't
as
know
well.
if there's any
But
black skins coming out,
but Sutonia mentioned Guardian Gala, which I believe we called the Valentine's Day ship skin line event last year. So it sounds like it's going to be that again.
Hip hop's not even home.
oh,
Is this actually Gen 10?
Gen 10? Yeah, Freaking Menace is Gen 10. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sub
See, he
Gen
heard
10,
us
how
making
high
fun
are
of
you
him,
right
and
now?
then he came to defend himself.
yeah.
I'm high as fuck.
I'm fucking feeling great, mate.
Yo, Jen, we heard you didn't make any of the CSM meetings.
Oh,
What the fuck?
he made most of the important ones anyway.
Which was it?
Oh.
Did he
Were
make
those
the
were those the
pink
2
skin
a.m.
one?
Iceland time meetings that like he was just like on somebody's phone as they carried him around?
No, I literally, because for some reason Skype doesn't work on my computer, we had to use some like dodgy third-party cam software. So the Russians probably now have like all of the details of the meeting I was in.
So,
You know,
Tony,
it's just
are you
been
saying Gen 10 is
strictly-
more like a blister and he only shows up when the work's done?
Wow. No, I was there. I unfortunately couldn't get in the strategy meeting, which really sucks. But that's kind of, I then watched it afterwards, and that's why I wrote that article.
Ah, cool.
Okay.
All right.
But
well,
yeah, no, it was
you know,
good
we're gonna get to a little bit of that here. I just want to get through a couple, a couple little headlines. I already mentioned that the minutes were gonna be here hopefully in a week or so. The next thing I'm gonna link it out there in. Oh, no, I'm not, because I went to the pink skins first. Because that got
Yeah,
front ran.
pink skin's number one.
I'm gonna link it out here. Okay, so everybody remembers back to Eve Vegas, they had a contest where they were allowing players to contribute designs that were going to be put into a competition, and if your designs won, then they would actually make a T-shirt of it and sell it at the store. They're doing a similar thing here for FanFest 2018, but it's for mouse pads. So I've linked it out there in the Twitch chat. This is, what does it say here? Calling all EVE Online designers. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's basically, you know, like create a fucking mouse pad. I don't know that I can really say much more than that.
Cool. I can jump on FanFest. A couple of updates came out today. They've got the announcement for Friday Night Pub Crawl 2.0. Looks like you load on a bus now at Harpa and you get bussed out to a new place for the pub crawl on Friday night.
See, that's what it should be. It should be.
Yeah.
That's what a pub crawl in Iceland should be. They put you on a bus, they take you out to the middle of nowhere, drop you off with a fucking flask, and have you walk back.
And say good luck.
That almost sounds like something you'd do to somebody you didn't like.
No,
How many more
exactly
people are
what they
gonna
do
get
out there.
lost now, though? There's not
Yeah, well, I guess you get bussed back, but so
Survival
but
crawl.
Survival crawl. You get to drink on the bus, get to drink on the way back. So yeah, it'd be a lot of.
If they're gonna do
like
that, they have to do it in
Hunger
a better,
Games Fan Fest?
better year weather-wise, right? Like that needs to be more of like an August thing, not not
No.
an April thing.
No.
Oh,
Suit, do you have any like pub crawl fucking stories?
Well, I mean, I don't have many that are that bad for myself, but I've heard a few bad stories about certain people at certain EVE events that I'm not sure I'm allowed to say.
those are always fun.
I got so drunk last FanFest that I literally couldn't hear.
That's
How do you
So
remember
drunk you
that?
can't
like
hear?
the
That's
media,
always
like
good.
the media pub crew, and you like passed out dead, like telling
Yeah.
people how a big deal you are, and then someone had to like put you in a taxi or something.
Wait a minute, you got so
They go
drunk you
3
couldn't
blocks.
hear, or so drunk you couldn't comprehend what your ears were registering. Like it just wasn't getting from your ear
I
to your
literally
brain.
I get like ringing in my ears whenever I get drunk, and I just that got so loud that I couldn't hear anymore, and like some poor CCP woman just took me and put me on the windowsill of the drunk rabbit and just handed me a glass of water and just started miming things at me because she realized that I couldn't just hear at all. So I was drinking.
You don't even remember who.
Are you
I-
saying you get drunken
Who was
tinnitus?
it?
Drunk. Somebody said drunken.
I guess.
Is it
that's the only way I
tenosis?
can explain
That's tinnitus.
Tonight.
Drunken
Tinnitus.
tinnitus.
Yeah, it's tinnitus. That ringing in your ears is tinnitus.
So yeah, that was the big change I saw for FanFest, and there's 2 different Sisters of Eve tours. So you have a chance to take Grin Jan on dune bugging this year. I think you're going to do that, Jen, right?
Grin Jan.
I'm trying to
Grin
convince
Jan
her
is
that
his
she...
ugly girlfriend. Grand
Grand
Jen.
Grand Jen is his grandmother.
Yeah.
Or
Gin
Jen
Grand.
Grand.
Gin Grand.
So actually, well, the 2 of them, one's dune bugging, the other one's kind of like they call it the relax tour, and you got the extreme tour. So there's 2 Sister of Eves out there, and then of course the Saturday night party is Bass Hunter. So
I am so excited for that. I really enjoyed Hodor as a DJ, so I'm really excited for Bass Hunter. But I'm
amazing.
also, I really love just like dance music, so I'm like super stoked.
You like
Yeah.
dance music? You strike me as like a country music kind of person.
Yeah, no, I'd rather probably die than listen to country music.
Bullshit. You live in fucking Iowa or whatever.
Yeah.
I know, that's why I
Oh,
hate
you're
like,
singing
random
You're
songs
radio
hip hop out
stations.
there is
Potatoes
3
and
guys
shit.
in a freaking
Shut up,
straw hat.
Sutonia.
So I just linked in chat the events update page for FanFest. That's what I got.
Although
I do want to go back. I do want to go back just real quick to this.
No,
to-
we're talking about the pub crawl. So the pub
Okay.
crawl will end up at probably some like bar. Like usually it's Nora's. Last year was Hiroso, but it'll end up at some bar downtown. So if you don't do the pub crawl, you'll still find people to hang out with, and you can still meet up with everyone. Okay, go on.
Oh no, I just wanted to go back to this mouse pad design thing. Look, I don't like to bitch about things. I like to remain positive about. It's a fucking 7. What is the sign? Design should be 7.75 inches by 8.25 inches. That would
That's a
lead me
big
to
mouse
believe
pad.
No,
7.75
it's
by
not.
8.
No, that's
like
small.
A fucking
That's-
poster.
Yeah,
That's a
small mouse
standard
pad.
mouse pad.
That's a tiny mouse pad. That's like the free mouse pads they
Normal
give
mouse
you
pad.
at like
Okay,
Okay, wait,
It's
wait,
like the
wait,
ones
wait,
you get
wait.
at work.
Wait,
You
wait,
always
wait,
run out
wait.
of mouse pad.
Are you guys saying 7 and 0.75 inches is small. Is that what you guys are saying?
For
For a
pads,
mouse
yes.
pad.
Yeah.
For a
I don't-
mouse pad.
Rain, to
Rain,
directly
it's
answer
all
your
about the
question, I don't
11-inch
use my
mouse
dick as
pad,
a
all
mouse
right?
pad.
Yeah, if you're not getting 11
Like, is that how you
inches,
measure the mouse
I'm
pad? You
sorry
just
that your
whip your
mouse
dick
is
out?
just that bad.
I
I'm
just
sorry,
think
like-
of like
When I gave pads
Like,
out
my
to
mouse
people
pad is
for
8
Christmas,
dicks
it was
across. Like,
11 and a
nobody
half.
measures
I
things
mean,
like
like
that,
that's
Rain.
it was not as big. I would have liked 12 and a
are
half,
these like
but 11 and a half is as much as I could go. Like I mean, like
The feel when you order a
it
7-inch
can only
mouse pad
be
and it
so
comes out
big
5
before
inches.
they,
yeah,
you know,
these are
this
actually gonna be. If these are men measurements, these are like 7.5 inches, and it's gonna actually be like 5 or 4.5. Tiny as fuck. I can't do anything
You've
with it, type thing.
Been
Well-
around some small men.
No, see, the trick, Rain, is to
Cough,
just
cough,
measure it in
Iowa.
centimeters and call it inches. Like, that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, I remember when we were giving away some mouse pads here a little while ago, you know, a few weeks ago or whatever, that Drayden put together. He went with, you know, I'll call it an oversized. It wasn't the standard one that you could get out on whatever that fucking like site is that I bought the banner from or whatnot. But he went with the slightly oversized one, which tends to be what I think what most gamers kind of go with is not necessarily a big giant anchor one like I have here, but you know, although they may go with that too. But they tend to go with something larger than your just sort of average staples.
Okay, but there's a reason behind that, right? Like, that's for shooters and stuff. Like, I have a giant mouse pad that I literally throw down just for playing Counter-Strike because I need that space. But for playing something like EVE Online, like, my sensitivity is normal, and, like, I don't need a massive mouse pad.
I'm not saying
So,
you
like,
need
I mean,
a
that's
mouse pad.
Normal
I'm just saying, I think that
sensitivities, you don't need
slightly
something
oversized
massive.
one is
I know what
almost
you
standard
mean.
now.
Well, it's just the right size. It just fits me. I'm comfortable with it.
7.75 by 8.25 is like, I mean,
And it's
granted,
7.5 inches
that's the
around.
picture.
Right?
So with all
Around.
critical details within 7.5 by 8.0. So now look, the mouse pad itself might be just slightly larger than that. You know, if you're asking for that to be the critical details within there, 7.5 by 8. I don't know, man. It just seems a little on the small side. Given the fact, and I don't have it right here, but man, when they sell their EVE Online mug, that thing's like it's like a 20-ounce mug, coffee mug. I mean, at least, they're not giving you some dinky little ass, coffee mug. Why would they give you a dinky ass, or why would they, try and sell a dinky ass mouse pad? Whatever, just saying. Just throwing it out there. Anyways,
I think Rain's finally calming down, so we can probably carry on now.
What's that?
It's
I
just
think
so
Rain's
funny.
finally. Nope, she's not coming
Like
down.
the one time I can make like innuendos and shit. Y'all are seriously discussing like how 7 inches is so small, and I'm over here just like dying of laughter.
No, 7 inches is like
Pretty
average.
great.
It's like an average mouse pad.
It's like average. It's like average, like, with.
I mean,
Cool
my
people.
mouse pad is 3 feet across.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
it.
mine too. Yeah, I got that.
But everybody knows they'd
roll
rather
up.
have 11.
Yeah, mine's like the big. It's like 14 and a half by like 13 or something. It's like the
Well, let me
big
just
giant
whip
pads.
this right out.
My mouse pad's actually probably 7 inches, and like 7 to 8.
Is that the normal mouse pad that you use?
I don't know,
Or
I'm
like-
really good
or
at
like when you're
measuring
really
things with
getting
my
into it, and you
hand.
break out a bigger mouse pad.
I have a huge
Well,
mouse
it depends
pad.
on how
literally
much you've been
just for
using that
CS:GO.
mouse pad. Like if you start with a small mouse pad till you get comfortable, and then you move up to a bigger mouse pad over time and what you're comfortable with, right?
And
What-
you can
what
never go
DPI
back
do
to a
you guys
small
play
mouse
at?
pad
'Cause I
after you
think-
had bigger.
Yeah, you gotta have a
No,
trainer
no, no.
mouse pad, right?
What DPI is your mouse on? Because that will determine the size of mouse pad you should
No,
have.
no,
reasonably.
no. See, that's the
I
weird
think you're
thing. That's the
missing
weird
what's
thing,
happening here.
Jin, is
Look,
that
look at Sutoni up there, like trying to show off the size of his
no,
mouse
Jin.
pad.
I have, like I said, I have like that 14 and a half by 13 inch mouse pad. My DPI is at like 4800, and so I can literally go from one corner of my
48.
screen to the other corner of my screen with like by moving the mouse like this far on my pad. Like I could literally have a mouse pad that was 5 by 5 inches, and I would not go off of it with my hand. But I like big mouse pads. I don't know why.
What? That's because
I mean,
most
so-
people learn to make do with the size that they have, right?
Just
But I mean,
losing
as
his
as
mind.
Sada says, after a while, you're ruined. I mean,
I mean, if you use
once
your mouse
once
pad-
you've had a big mouse pad, it's really hard to go back. But
My DPI is just fucking like 8,200, and I use 1.5 times
Well, yeah,
mouse
but-
acceleration. So I literally I don't even need a mouse pad most of the
But
time.
I think I remember hearing that like I mean if you check mouse pads stretch, they'll go back to form. So I mean,
So wait, do you guys
I don't think mouse pads will stretch, but
Do you guys
yeah.
have like just a flat mouse pad,
The
or
mouse
do you
you're
have
trying
some
to
like
wedge into
texture
it
on your
might.
mouse pad? Because I've heard the textured ones are better. You know, like
Yeah,
where
you
they
need
have
to get
something
the
for your
ribbed
wrist.
mouse pads.
What about
Yeah, a
those
little
huge
bit of ribbing.
animated
Well, yeah,
mouse
like
pads?
you
Are
want
those
your mouse to
Yeah, yeah.
feel that it's happening, right? Like, so you need to have a bit of a texture there. It helps with the optics.
I think it was better back when balls were in use.
Oh man,
Oh yeah, the
track balls.
I know someone who still uses one of those.
No, mice balls. I mean, yeah. You know somebody who's
saying
still
you
into
have-
balls with their mice?
You've
Well-
ripped out the balls off 2 track balls and taped them to your mouse to give your mouse balls.
Track balls never really worked.
Track
I mean,
ball-
that,
yeah, it's
that
like-
was really kind of a
It,
short-lived.
it really took
short-lived
like
experience.
you really had to be not ambidextrous, but I mean like you had to be very
quick-fingered.
accurate with your
You had
thumbs.
to use your fingers really quickly.
Yeah. I mean like it took the right, you know, like slides to the left, strokes to the right.
Hating on Gloria out there, you know, said I have the mouse pad that has the spot to rest your wrist. You know, and that is important as well. You know, things like ergonomics and of course
you don't wanna
know,
get worn
just
out either.
just
Curvatures,
comfort.
you know, just curvature. Yeah.
It
you
helps
gotta
with
have
your
the-
longevity
Well-
of being able to use your mouse pad too, right? Like,
Aramis
you're not
is
gonna
pointing
be
out.
using it for like 1 minute.
Aramis
You
is
got that
pointing
wrist
out.
support.
Aramis?
Aramis is pointing out, but he's pointing out the vibrating mouse pads for feedback. So DC, I don't know if you would use that for something like CS:GO or whatever when you're like playing a game that requires like immediate attention or something like that.
No, so I would not use a vibrating mouse for something like that because that would throw off your aim, especially for precision aim.
Even if it
Plus, I
like.
prefer
What
to
about
just
on the
use
mouse
my natural
pad?
talent. I don't want to have to rely on
It's
something
better to go
vibrating
natural.
to make me
But
better.
what if you rely on the mouse pads like and it has the like ball on it or whatever, it like vibrates on your wrist, so then you know.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
just
a
prefer
vibrating
to
you know
use my
mouse.
natural
so
skill,
you
right?
know
Like,
when
I don't want to use
when
a
the shot's
machine to help
coming.
me be better, Rain.
Speaking of
Basically,
shots,
what all these guys
Yeah,
saying now is not
as
only
Wim
do they
says,
have
wrist protection's a must.
11-inch mouse pads, but they also don't need vibrators.
I mean, here's
Just
the
throwing
thing.
it
though.
out there.
That's true. Like the bigger the
Here's
mouse
thing,
pad, you don't need vibration.
And now it might be an issue when
Shots.
people get to FanFest, okay, and
Me
they
too.
walk up and they sit there and they see, you know, a 7-inch by 8-inch fucking mouse pad. They may sit there and go, "Not big enough for me. I just can't."
I say that I need a big
Because
mouse
I'm
pad.
gonna
I
be
have
honest,
to-
if you're
so
if you're
here's
in
the
line,
thing.
if you're in line up at FanFest and there's people buying swag left, right, and sideways, and you reach for a small mouse pad, people are gonna wonder.
Well, and here's the thing too: is like, how do
I
you go
don't
back
know.
from using a big mouse pad? Like, I've been using big mouse pads for so long, I don't think I could go back to this
I
one.
mean, if
I just
somebody
wouldn't be the
sits there and
same.
starts laughing after you've picked up that mouse pad, you're gonna know they probably watched this show and they're like, "Fucking little mouse pad guy."
I don't know though. I mean, wouldn't you be compensating with a larger mouse pad? Kind of like if you drive a bigger truck or something like that.
You may be compensating, but you know what?
Maybe.
At least you can say, "I got a big fucking mouse pad."
Look at Blasphem's mouse pad. Oh, it goes on for days.
my God,
It's all
That
about
mouse
the
pad
length.
goes on to next show.
I can take this in all day.
how the is that's not really your
got
mouse
like,
pad.
He's got like the roll of mouse.
There's
pad.
no way.
Yeah, it's my mouse pad. It covers my desk.
Do you
drawer.
have like 12 desktop screens all linked together, and just in case you got to
Yeah.
get the guy down on the end, you?
That's not even a fucking mouse pad. Neither is what what Canadian has there. Neither one of those are fucking mouse pads. Unless you sit there and it's like, you know, a roll of bounty paper
What are you
towel
trying
or
to say? That's
something
not
like
a
that.
mouse pad. That is legitimately my mouse pad.
As you
That's
spill
mine
something
too.
on it,
Bounty
you just
paper
pull it forward
towels?
so you can keep playing.
Pretty
Do
much.
you guys have like 1 DPI mouses or something?
Depends on what I'm playing. I throw my DPI way down.
See, that's so weird. I like my DPI higher. I can't stand
And
having
that's why
like
it
low
took you a
sensitivity.
goddamn year to beat Black Mesa. Because
See,
your
kid-
DPI
see,
is too
Keisha out
goddamn
there,
high.
Keisha out there's
slip
like,
and
fuck the
slide or a
mouse
mouse pad.
Fuck the mouse pad. I got tired of them. I go bare table now. You know, and you know what?
Oh, you're
are
Hey.
raw
people-
dogging it.
There are people out there that try it. I tried it when I was out in Vegas to go bare table, except it was a clear table, and my
Does
mouth
it feel
didn't want to
better?
know shit about that.
Without having the mouse pad, like, you must have like
It was
a
more
better sensation.
convenient. It was more convenient. I gotta say.
Wouldn't
that,
you
but
have to clean your
did-
table more if you went
It
bare
didn't
though?
work as well though.
Yeah, but it probably feels better when you're using it though.
Well, I mean that. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, I think we killed that one.
We
Yeah,
might have
we're pretty
killed it this
Holy
time.
fucking
Oh,
shit!
man.
High five.
Good job.
I'm surprised that high five, Ray. I'm surprised that one went on as long as it did. But you know what?
don't
Good
worry,
job, Ray.
guys. The show's in a new direction.
Do want to give an update. Look, I'm sure most people here, fucking know this already, but I want to put it out there for the people who, listen and don't hear things, or don't watch other shows or read or things like that. There has been an update. It came in just prior to Fozzie coming on Talking in Stations on Sunday of last week, where they updated out there. The GTFO module and the anchor fitting window are not going to be part of this Upwell release. They have kiboshed those. It doesn't mean that they might not revisit it at some point in the future. However, as of right now, the GTFO looks pretty much off the board completely. It did not have really, any form of positive uptake out there from the community, at all. The anchor fitting window is something they're going to continue, I think, probably to take a look at. One of the things that they're concerned about is and you can look at the INN article. There was not a whole lot of relevant answers, I don't think, in the INN interview article that came out, I think, today. And that was kind of sad, because I don't know when, actually, I don't know when Fozzie kind of answered the questions to that relative to when he was on Talking in Stations last week. He was very forthcoming, I thought, on Talking in Stations last week. But this article here, or this sort of transcript of the interview, it was just nothing but fucking vague answers and really non-answers, as far as I'm concerned. But he did mention in there that one of the things that they're concerned about, in terms of the data, what the data shows, right, is that, of structures being killed. There's a lot of structures apparently being killed. However, the vast majority of them are, in that anchor phase, right? And they want to kind of find a way of sort of offsetting that. But really, their concern should not be that structures are not getting anchored because they're dying too soon. It's what's the death rate of structures that do get put up, right? That is where the big problems seem to be, because there should probably be a high attrition rate of structures that are attempting to be anchored but don't get all the way online because people come by and kill those motherfuckers. The problem is once they're up, are too many of them up for too long? And I think that's probably the bigger issue.
That's where
they need to get the balance right. I think right now Citadels are probably way too powerful.
And that, and that's definitely one of the things that sort of gets said out there in general, right? And if that's the case, right, if they are certainly dying in mass as they're being anchored, right, as they're being put up, but then basically go generally unkilled after that, then that's definitely a problem with the finished product, right?
Jared, that's showing for me too, so it's probably showing for a lot of people.
Showing
What's
what?
showing?
Oh, I just poked you. Okay, yeah. It was showing as Darkest Dungeon, not Eve.
That's not showing for me. I'm watching the stream, of course, because I can see chat.
I'm seeing.
Well, I
Darkest
changed it
Dungeon
EVE
too.
Online, so
I also
should be-
changed it. So
okay, should be
I
changed.
think between
Okay.
all of us spamming it, it should finally change.
It should, yeah.
I changed it at the beginning. Whatever.
Yeah.
It is.
Sometimes that fucks up though.
But anyways, the other part of that announcement was that they're extending the final timer, the structure timer, the repair timer, from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. Now that right there is a direct result, I think, of what happened in the Battle of 9 Tac 4 and tie-dye and all that sort of thing.
But that's still being not affected by tie-dye though. Like
It's
the
still
timer's
not.
more,
It's still
but it's
not
still
affected
gonna
by
go.
tie-dye. He did mention in there that they are investigating it, but basically, look, there are technical issues with trying to line this stuff up. I don't have it out now. It's going to be coming out Monday. I've got an article coming out Monday where I talk about basically two things, and that is the repair timer and tethering. And that'll be coming out on INN on Monday. You guys will totally not fucking agree with what I have to say, but we can talk
Did
about
we
it
ever
next week.
know the rationale why the 15-minute timer was in effect originally? Do we know what that rationale was, and why did it change just straight to the 30?
Okay, so where they came up with the 15, I don't know, it's probably a bit arbitrary, right? They're throwing out a number that they think is sort of the... Okay, and and here's sort of the thing, right? It's not the timer is just, as far as I know, it is just a representation of how long it takes for that structure to repair itself using the passive repair. That if you don't shoot it and you don't pause it and things like that, right? It will take 15 minutes for it to get its hit points back up and then be back into invuln mode, right? The timer is just there as a representation of that. So they basically, they
So it's not really a
basically
time,
gave it
it's
a
just like,
regen
that's the
rate of
passive
15
regen.
minutes.
The passive regen. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And you can, and then you can pause it, right? By applying enough damage, you can pause the passive regen.
Maybe this is a dumb question. Can you repair it and make it go faster?
No.
No.
Oh. I feel like
I
I should have known
I think
that,
something like that was out on the table, but then we kind of fall back into the pause mode, which hell no, we don't want to go.
No, but
Yeah, but bosses didn't
but
passively
apparently
regen
it is,
themselves.
apparently it is a a technical issue, and fuck it, But anyways, yeah, I got an article coming out. It basically says get the fuck rid of it altogether. I don't think that the 15 to 30 minutes is going to make a difference when we get into actual time dilated fights. I just don't think that is not going to be fixed. Now maybe maybe it's 45 minutes, maybe it's an hour or whatever the hell it is. But remember, when you've got this thing out there, right? It's not just for tie-dye battles; it's for all battles in general. But then again, you know what? I don't give a shit. Fucking extend it out into forever for all I care. Because you know what? Fights should go on until both sides can no longer fight anymore.
Yeah, Dominark.
Yeah, but
just
that
hit up with
doesn't really work with citadels, right? When you can sit safe off your attacking citadel, and like, what defines not being able to fight anymore? You're out of fighters.
You're out of fighters. Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever the hell it is. Yeah.
Then that fight in 9-4 would have gone on forever then, because
Thanks,
maybe
Dom.
brought
Maybe it
so
would
many
have.
extra fighters.
Yeah, Dominark, 5 months. Thanks, man. Much appreciated.
Did you get the 30
Well,
minutes
no,
or
it
12
was
months
because
early?
like,
That's another issue
they couldn't
that
reload any of their supers. Like, they couldn't reload any more fighters in their supers. That's why the engagement died out as quickly
There
as
was
it
one
did.
there.
But
Yeah,
let's,
but eventually they would
but
have
let's
been able
assume
to.
for a moment. Let's assume for a moment, okay, that
12
that it was in regular time. Okay, let's assume for a moment that even if it wasn't in regular time, all the buttons fucking worked, right? Yes, it would have gone on longer. It may have gone on until downtime the next day. Well, guess what? That's just the way certain fights in this fucking game work. Okay, this is not about can you come in and instance your fucking way into well, this is just gonna be a short fight because CCP gave me a timer that all I gotta do is beat the fucking clock.
Oh, it's definitely a bad system. But going the exact opposite way and being like, well, fights should just go until one side is, out of gas. That's kind of in the opposite direction too far.
Yeah.
There has to
You
be
want
a
to,
happy
if
medium.
you do that, that's like mad N+1 because the smaller side can never like outlast the timer or make you do something whilst the timer's going on. There's no ability to distract.
People can talk about getting rid of N+1 in this game. It ain't never going away. It is a core principle of this game.
Absolutely not. But you can design the game in such a way that N+1 has options that a smaller entity can use if they're more coordinated. Which is,
The defender
what
should
what
always
Chaos Theory
have
is this.
an advantage. Doesn't matter what kind of
And they
warfare
do.
you're looking at.
They
The defender has
absolutely
an
do.
advantage. Right now, it's just too hard. If you go so far the other way, then it just evens it out. The defender should
But-
have a slight
But it's not
advantage.
it's not about going so far the other way. Look, the defender has their structure, okay, and
So is
a
the
def-
attacker though right
and-
now.
no, they don't, okay, because all of the DPS has to be applied to the structure that is being damaged at the time. Okay, just because you cowards sit your shit off 1,000 kilometers away and tree bucket your fucking fighters over or whatever whatever thing, your fighters are now the DPS that can be targeted by all the fleets and and the structure that is over on that side, right? It's centered around that side. They have their advantage. The defenders have their advantage in a number of different ways. Okay, it does not have to be an all-consuming advantage. It does not have to be all the advantage in the world.
That's what I'm saying. They already have a ridiculous advantage. They need to dial that back, but they shouldn't dial it back till it's an even plane. Like if you had it that the battle would just go on forever, as long as there was people on grid or was receiving a little tiny bit of damage, that thing was paused. That's too far in the opposite direction. The defender should have a little advantage. Right now, it's too much.
But yeah, so not gonna talk exclusively about structures tonight because we've done that the last couple of weeks. Had some evidence of kind of what was going on out there with those things, but maybe we'll talk about it more next week after we see what goes on out in another thing we're going to get to in a little bit. But what I do want to get to right now, because I do have we do have the guests on. What is it? Oh, okay. I'm going to skip over this Alad thing. That guy needs some fucking help. But what was it? I'm also going to skip over the January Murph now. Maybe we'll get to that later. Fuck it, who cares? Let's go straight to the Assault Frigate's Balance Pass. You know what? Fuck it. Suetonia, you're here. Tell us about what is going on with Assault Frigates and that new module.
Okay, I guess we'll start with the new module first because it's easiest to talk about that, and because a lot of the assault frigates are not actually getting changed. So the assault damage control is a 75%. It gives you 75% resists for 15 seconds, and it's unstacking penalized, so it's really powerful. It's like
for reference, by the way, because some people might not understand how that works. That's like just slightly less, like 1.8% less than an overheated X-type will give you.
Yeah, so it's basically like you get 4 overheated X-type hardeners while it's active, and it's for shield, armor, and hull. So you essentially like all logistics on you is basically 4 times better. Or your EHP is like multiplied by 4. So it's really powerful in fleets, and I think the main area where you'll see these are going to be like small med gang. It almost completely counters and shuts down like rapid light caracals, and since rapid light caracals have been the meta for like the past 4 years now, it's good to see them go. The reason why it's a lot more powerful against caracals rather than anything else is because the missiles have travel time, so it's very easy for you to hit the button before you get hit. And then also, rapid lights are not very good at swapping targets. Like if you're fighting a harpy gang with caracals, shooting one, it hits damage control. Okay, got to swap to the second one. Then I got to swap to a third one. And now, I go back to the first one. I kill one harpy, and then I'm on reload. Oh shit! Like caracals are not going to trade very well.
Now the cooldown on that is 150 seconds, right? So you get 15 seconds of super overpowered resist, but then it's 150 seconds of cooldown.
Well, the other thing that I was talking to Blastum earlier about another way you might see this. Now this will only be like if the bigger alliances start making AHAC fleets a doctrine type thing that they start using, is because a lot of times when you have the hacks, it's like, okay, we got to alpha these off before the reps hit. Well, if you see that you're going to be primaried, you hit that damage control, and that will let you survive the initial alpha burst to allow the Logi to lock you up and get reps landing, and then once the reps are landing, then just the general passive damage control resist should be able to keep you through at that point.
So what you're saying is in fleets, people will have to press F1 and possibly F2.
Wait, you'd put your damage control on F2?
If I'm in a fleet, yeah, why not?
No, man, your other stack of guns is on F2. You gotta split your guns.
I don't whore on kills.
Oh, man, you're doing it wrong.
I do what my FC tells me, and the only time you split guns is in tie-dye, so...
Wow.
No, I keep it on the lower rack, but it's just control F1 for the damage control.
Yeah, sure, but like now somebody has to press the second
damage
button.
control doesn't take fucking pressing a button anymore anyways.
No, these will.
This active
These will.
work.
These will. That's what I'm saying for these specific
Oh,
ones. If people are
I
making
was
like
actually
Zealot
looking
fleets
through
or something.
some old fights that I had on my hard drive, and I got really nostalgic having to turn on the damage control because I watched a fight where I didn't turn it on.
Oh
Yeah.
Now, is there any penalty to when after the 15 seconds this thing goes on cooldown, or does it just go back to its
It's like a
normal
minute and a
resist?
half.
Well,
I think it gets
150
its
seconds.
passive resist
I
again.
think you still get the passive resist
Yeah.
while it's on cooldown.
So there's no
but
negative effect. Like you always get those, and then you can buff.
No,
it
It's
for
no.
15
definitely
seconds.
less resist
they're
than a
less
normal
resist
damage
than the
control.
Yes, it is.
Not by a ton. It's the same structure resist. The armor resist is 5% less, and the shield resist is like what 5.5% less.
Yeah, that
So
it's a
it'd
bit
actually be
harder
really
to
good for
fit
like an
too.
armor hull tank ship then. Like if you were gonna solo in it, you'd like armor hull tank, and pop that thing during armor. It'd be a pimp.
Well, I mean, here, what assault damage control 2, passive shield resist 7.5, passive armor 10, passive hull 40. So
And that's the Tech 2 or Tech 1?
That's
that
Tech
is
2.
the Tech 2. So what is it? It's 60 hull, right? On a standard damage control.
Yeah, about that. I think
40,
it's
I think.
like.
No, it's 60 or something like that.
Well, I mean,
it
it means
used
when
to
you
be
have it
60
fitted on
back
the
when
ship.
it
It
was
used to be
active. Did that
60s
change?
across the board. Now it's 40
Fuck,
for
now I
hull.
just don't even remember.
No,
Yeah, but you
I
have
looked at it
33%
earlier.
base resists.
Yeah, I looked at it earlier because I was talking with Blast. So on a damage control 2, the passive resists on shield are, I know armor's 15%, hull is 40, and I think shield is 13.
I think
And
it's 12.5.
12 and a half, yeah.
Are you sure? I just looked. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it was 13.
I'm 99% sure it's 12.5.
It is
On
super
shield
low
and
on
15%
shields.
armor.
And then, but yeah, these ones, it's 7.5 on shield, 10 on armor, and then it's still 40 on structures. So structures.
However, what this new module will give you, okay, once activated, is what 75% active resists, right, across all 3 items.
Yeah.
Shield, armor, and hull.
Yeah. So it's basically I don't want to take much damage for 15 seconds. Bam. It's your oh shit button.
Yes. Well, I don't even. I guess it could be an oh shit button, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's more kind of a tactical. I mean, look, when you're talking about dealing with assault frigates, this is more a tactical use sort of sort of thing.
Yeah. It's there's various things like what Satoshi was saying.
It works if you are where damage control really came in handy. I want to say before, right, was not necessarily like if you were taking shield damage or something like that, right? I mean, it wasn't until you
the
started
old ones
to get
used
into deep
almost
stuff.
no capacity.
This here, if you're a shield tank ship, you could be sitting there and going, you know what, I want to burn this up in shields where I'm really depending on how you're fit and stuff like that, right? Where
if you were confident in your tank enough, like if you were armor tanked and you wanted to pop that thing in your shields and you knew you would last the cooldown, you could pop that thing twice in a fight.
Yeah, or
maybe even 3 times.
It always depends on your fit too, because if you're a shield tank fit, your tank should hold up, and then like say you're running like an ancillary booster, but then like oh shit, my ancillary booster's on reload. That's when you pop your damage control.
Yeah.
So it gives you that little bit of buffer. While I mean, it wouldn't last the entire time of the reload, I don't think, but it would give you enough time.
Yeah,
it would
like,
mitigate a lot of the
double,
damage that by the time your ancillary came back on, you would still have shield damage.
Which I think is good for like hacks and assault frigates.
For
they
like
kind of
solo,
felt like not that
solo
tanky
Hawk,
before.
especially, like they normally run like double medium ancillary shield booster. So you'd like use your first medium ancillary, use the second medium ancillary, then you hit the damage control immediately after, and then the like 15% resist for 15 seconds is gonna hopefully give you enough time for the first one to reload, so that you basically get like 2 like reloads on MSCB for free from it.
It's definitely going to be a timing-based thing, 100%. But I think it's a pretty good buff to AF and hacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got tactical possibilities, right? Whereas today's damage control, well, obviously because it's passive, is not really all that tactical, right?
No,
this here though,
you just throw on every fit and like, okay, it's there.
Yeah,
now,
I get
The old one.
So go back to, because I don't just want to focus on assault damage controls. I kind of want to focus also on the assault frigates themselves, because these are dealing with getting some reasonable changes here in terms of velocity and cap and shit like that, right?
Yeah, so they're all getting sped up by about 30%, which puts them about the same speed as normal combat frigates, which is about the same as what hacks are compared to cruisers, right? Like almost every hack is about the same speed as the cruiser they're based on, with the exception, I think the Zealot is slower than the Omen by quite a bit, and the Munion's a lot faster than the Rupture for some reason, but otherwise they're about the same. Whereas like assault frigates used to be about like 2.2 to 2.4k a second, so they're actually slower than interdictors, and like command destroyers were faster than them, which is a problem. And a lot of other ships were faster than them too, like pirate cruisers. Like it's pretty common to see something like a Orpheus or a Cinnaball going faster than them and their frigates, so it was kind of weird.
So you're saying my Enyo might be able to actually catch things finally?
Yeah.
Because that was turbo terrible forever.
Well, so all assault frigates are getting an 18% increase to their max velocity, minus 10% to their mass, and plus 30% to their capacitor capacity.
See, I found the cap
gonna be
one
nice.
is huge, especially for frigates.
Yeah,
that is massive.
The assault frigates, like one of the biggest problems was you always ran out of cap.
And they already
for a
have...
Tech 2 ship, I didn't think it should be running out of cap that easily.
Yeah, the Wolf actually used to have less cap than the Claw.
Yeah,
because it hadn't been changed in so long.
So the 30% cap is gonna change a lot of ships that really needed it.
There's a one system you'd fly across in the middle of NPC null, and you'd just run out of cap in an assault frigate. You'd have to stop halfway and then rewarp. Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there's
whatever that 200 AU system was.
there's a couple of the frigates that they're swapping a few things up. Like the Jaguar is by far like the biggest change.
Well, that's why. Hold on, I don't want to get down. I don't want to get down into that just yet because I just want to focus just on assault frigates, right? So those are the three things that they're getting there. Yes, 3 of the assault frigates are also getting other changes. All the rest are staying exactly the same except for those 3 things. Their velocity is being increased, their mass is being decreased, and their capacitor capacity is being increased. What are the bonuses right now that assault frigates get that are related to speed?
They don't have any speed bonuses. I think they have every single one has a 50% MWD sick bloom reduction.
Right.
But that's not changing at all.
Okay, right, exactly. So they've already got that. That's kind of baked in, right? So using a micro warp drive with them is already beneficial, right? And now they're just going to be faster overall, regardless of which one you have.
Well, and better agility too because of the mass reduction on top of it. So it's like faster and quicker turning.
Which kind of makes sense. You look at the name, assault frigate. It should be pretty quick and kind of agile. It shouldn't be this slow lumbering thing that can't catch stuff.
Now, all of the ones out there are staying the same except these 3. The Ishkur, which is getting a 7.5% drone tracking speed. Drone tracking speed bonus per level of assault frigate. It used to be an additional 5 M3 of drone bay per level. And it is also getting its drone bay increased flat out to 50 M3 from 25 M3.
Yeah, so they just baked that bonus in. That ship used to piss me off so much because when you tried to multi-fit it, it doesn't actually take into account your skills unless you're actually sitting inside it. And it was also like really annoying. Like if you had a character that had assault frigates level 4 and you imported a fit with assault frigates level 5 and tried to fit it, it would fail to load the drones because your drone bay wasn't as big as the fit that you imported. So I'm fucking glad that they bagged that in. Like seriously, that was one of the things that pissed me off.
It's a really good change. Like just having, because it's a drone boat. It just has that drone bay now flat out, which is nice.
Yep. The next one is the Retribution. That's getting 5% bonus to small energy turret rate of fire. It was 7.5% bonus to small energy turret tracking speed.
Yeah, the Retribution is going to kick ass. It actually does the same DPS as a Confessor now if the Confessor's not in the Sharpshooter mode. So it's like not far off Coercer DPS. So it pumps out a truck ton of DPS. The only issue is that it is, obviously it's one of the slowest. Although it is actually quite fast now. I think it goes like 2.8k cold or something, which is pretty respectable to be fair. So it's gonna have the hardest time, I think, of things like trying to get under its guns like solo or getting muted out. But in fleets, it's gonna be a monster. Like if you have I think beam retributions are actually gonna be like a really scary fleet comp now.
And it's also getting a little bump to power grid from 56 to 62. Now,
Drayden, you get that?
The one that's getting a whole lot of changes is the Jaguar. Okay, and what they say down here is we want to express condolences to projectile Jaguar lovers. There weren't many of you, but we do care about you. We feel having both weapon systems represented here brings more value than the heavy overlap between 2 projectile options, especially considering the popularity of the Breacher. We hope you grow to love the new Jag or its speedy brother, the Wolf. So, Drayden, do you want to...
I'm one of those. I fucking loved my projectile Jaguar.
It's going rockets. It's going missiles.
I don't really fly frigates, so I guess I can't be that upset about it.
Frigates
but,
number 1.
I'm terrible at
it's
frigates.
not a Tristan rain. Come on.
It's basically getting a 5% bonus to rocket and light missile rate of fire. It was a 5% bonus to small projectile turret damage, a 7.5% bonus to shield boost amount, which was a 7.5% bonus to small projectile turret tracking speed. Let's see here. New assault frigate bonus per skill level. 5% bonus to rocket and light missile damage. 5% bonus to rocket and light missile explosion radius. The CPU is getting bumped up. The mid slots are getting bumped up. The low slots are getting knocked down 1 slot from 4 to 3. The launcher slot is being increased to 3 from 1. The turret slot is being decreased to 1 from 3. Drone bandwidth. It's getting 10 drone bandwidth, and it's getting a drone bay of 20. So basically, it's going to be a missile ship with a little bit of drone damage.
Yeah, and it's
sounds like it's gonna
I really liked the old projectile Jaguar, mainly because, like, I mean, if I was going to get in a frigate, that was usually like the thing that I would get in, because it was like a rifter that was a little bit beefier, a little bit, I don't know if it was quicker, but I'm fine with the new changes, though, because it's probably a little bit better at applying damage than it was before, and with the drones, that'll help, and, you know, all the other boosts that are, I mean, it's probably going to be a better ship. You get 5 mid slots now on it, which...
Yeah, well, you know, and as Keisha is saying out there, you know, it's got, you know, that shield boost bonus, now with the extra mid, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's I think it's definitely going to be a more interesting ship than it was before.
Yeah, and like they're saying, like, there is still the Wolf. So, I mean, if you do want that, you know, projectile Rifter Tech 2 ship, you can just jump in a Wolf.
And Wolves are still pretty kick-ass, and now they're going to be even better.
Yeah, the Jaguars I mainly used because they were just a little bit more of like the beef,
it's going to be
the
a lot
beefcake.
more beefy now too. Like you can do like MWD, like 2 medium shield extender scram web if you just want like a really beefy tackler. You don't actually have to use the shield boost bonus if you don't want to.
Rain, what size shield booster do you prefer? Never mind, I'm totally fucking kidding.
Let's not go down that road again.
We started off with the assault damage control, right? Within the context of assault frigates. However, it is also going to be used on hacks. Now, there's no rebalance coming to hacks or anything like that. It's basically just a new fucking module that they can use. Yeah,
the module seems solid though. Like, I don't know if that module will all of a sudden make hacks like become used widely. Probably not.
Yeah, I'm thinking not. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that they're giving it to it, but I just don't think that it really changes anything about the current hack meta.
Yeah, because I mean, like
it kind of does for smaller stuff, right?
Yeah, maybe
Because
for
a
Rome,
hack
I
is
mean,
more likely to survive that cooldown. So
Yeah,
like,
Yeah,
it's
I
more
mean,
of a-
like Serbs are good right now. I think Asher still uses them in Reavers, right? So like
Yep,
them
yep.
getting that ability is definitely gonna buff them up. And then there's a few that are I think almost good enough, but they're eclipsed by other things that might come back, like the Ishtar gangs.
well, it's like, I mean, there's
Yeah, you
always
might see
the
that.
Tech 3 cruisers, because it's like you could use a Zealot or you could use Legions. I mean,
But,
a lot of times the
I
Tech
don't think
3s are
Legions
just
are relevant
better.
anymore, but yeah, I'd prefer to go back to Zealots. But there's nothing there
And
that.
I don't think that this changes anything about it.
No, it doesn't.
In kind of that fleet thing, even in something like Asher using them, or anybody out there using them in mainline fleets, I don't know that it necessarily changes anything, because again, this tends to be fairly tactical in its use, as opposed to I mean,
and it's more on the individual.
you got to
right?
have some
Like-
brain. You got to have some freaking brain power to use this. This is not an F1 tool.
No, and it's on the individual, right? Like if you see you're getting locked up in a fleet, and you're like, you need to know to do that. And if you're just sitting there being like droning off into subspace while your FC's like, okay, lock this up, and you're not paying attention, well, that mod's not going to help you at all.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. Like, I don't think it's gonna change. Like anything over 100-man fights, probably not gonna really change much. But for anything smaller than that, it's a very interesting option. Like when things aren't getting alpha strike, like not being able to kill something for 15 seconds, having to swap target to something else that's not going to be killable for 15 seconds, and like having to constantly go back and forth, like that, and like they're going to be at full buffer as well, right? And the Logi is going to have them pre-locked on top of that. So like it makes things like so much harder to kill, and it's also very powerful against certain weapon systems like rapid lights, like we mentioned, because they're not
Plus-
very good at swapping all fighters, for example, because like it's very hard to like move fighters around on the field, like when they're engaged, and like if you like hit your damage control and like waste fighters for 15 seconds, then that's like a huge difference in a fight.
Plus, are you gonna like assume that guy hit it, and you're like, oh, we're not really doing much damage, or is it reps? Are you going to stay on there for 15 seconds longer to hope that it goes down? Like it does add.
Well,
definitely different
Keisha puts it good out there. Lots of people are gonna burst early. I mean, when you're talking about kind of the F1 pusher mentality out there, lots of people are gonna burst early.
Oh, yeah, but he's gonna
and
get locked up. He's gonna panic.
FCs may call for multi-locks without firing just to diffuse the mod, because
yeah,
you
that'd be a
know
good call.
that if somebody gets locked the fuck
That's
up
good
by an
meta right
entire
there.
fleet, they're gonna go, oh my god, and they're gonna punch this thing, and then they're done.
Yeah, that might also be a thing with like against armor hacks, right? Like you could like 2 or 3 ships can alpha the shield on something, right? So you get like 2 or 3 people to shoot one person, make them panic, because as soon as their shields go down, they think, oh shit, maybe. But like I think it'd be like a very like you said, like a FC tactical thing. Like I definitely think like like a good FC with this can either punish or like completely devastate like a bad FC with them.
Although I think somebody put out there, and it's like, look, the passive resist right now on a damage control is 40%, right? It's 40% here as well. So when you're talking hull, all
Definitely
right?
hull. Yeah.
You know, so it's 40%, 40%. Where you begin to lose some is up in the armor resist and the shield. But you know what? You're not really counting on your damage control for extra resists up in shield and
Yeah, you get your main tank for that.
armor all that much. Okay, I mean it's really about kind of a it's really a structure thing, right? So it might not be as tactical if you're in a big fleet, and even if somebody burns it off at that point when it comes to structure and shit like that, they're really, even if they were to have burned this off by cycling it, they're almost in no worse case than had they not, assuming you've got Logi nearby and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean the only drawback I think is like Tech 2 damage control is 30 CPU and assault damage control is 35 CPU.
Yep.
So you like it might like makes like something change on some fittings, like maybe a meta module somewhere else, but other than that, like it's not really a huge cost to fit it and use it, I think.
Oh, you're talking about the Serpentis one?
Oh no, not the Serpentis one. I'm
Oh.
talking about like if you like a Tech 2 normal damage control is 30 CPU right now, and the Tech
right.
2 assault damage control is 35 CPU. So you need to find that extra 5 CPU somewhere, which might like some hacks are quite CPU tight.
Right. Well, there is the Serpentis assaults damage control. It's just, and it's only 24 CPU. So it's 11 cheaper than the regular Tech 2 ADC, but it's like six less than a normal DC. The only thing is, and it gives you 1 more second of the activation time, but how much more is that going to cost? Is that going to, because some of the Serpentis modules, it's like, okay, instead of like 2 million for the module, it's like, 10 million. So it's not that bad. But then some of them are like, okay, normal module's a couple million and this module's 70. And it's not worth the cost to put it on for those little bit of extra space, unless you're like a min-maxer and you're like, I don't care about the ISK. I want that extra, CPU to fit something else.
Yeah, I don't know how CCP is going to price them. I'm not sure. I haven't actually checked if it's on Sissy or not, but I presume that they would be in the Serpentis LP store and drop from rats. Because I know there's the Syndicate damage control, right? Which is normally about 200 to 250 mil right now, I think. The like faction damage control, and like I assume maybe they'll put it at a similar price rate to that. But that 200 mil is probably never gonna like go on a Harpy fleet or anything, right? It might go on like some guys like Pimp to Vagabond or whatever though.
What about that guy that like had that a lot out on INN the other day, where it's like he just dumps money into like shit.
Purple and polarized. Let's go.
Yeah, purple gear's the best, right?
Purple polarized and expensive damage control.
It's just the funniest one. The funniest one of all
of
those was the Phoenix.
But I love, the Phoenix was a great.
We'll
one.
go back and talk. We'll go back and talk about that in a little bit. We'll go back and talk about that in a little bit. I didn't mean to bring it up as a detour, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I first heard about this assault damage control, and I hadn't seen the numbers and whatnot, I'm like, oh fuck, it's like you cannot balance a ship around a gimmick module. You've got to actually balance the ships, and to some extent, I think that they probably have with the assault frigates. Hacks are a completely different story. I don't think that this necessarily changes the fucking meta about hacks at all as to whether or not, and again, I'm talking here from a nullsec fleet sort of thing, not what some loner dude or small gang or anything like that does with hacks. I don't think it changes anything there. I think that they are still constrained by well, even with assault frigates to some extent, right? And so, Tony, you may have a different view on this, but the whole Tech 3 thing continues to just be a thorn in the side for these sort of legacy ships.
Yeah, like you're saying, I think the hack fleets that are already getting used will use these, but it's not going to cause people to start using other hack fleets. Like, as much as I'd love to see Zealot fleets come back, you're not going to see Zealot fleets because this module came out. It's not going to happen.
Oh,
So-
I think
so
we
what
would
do you think
definitely
this
see
means
Harpy
for
fleets come back in subs.
Hold on, say it again. I'm sorry.
I said we will definitely see Harpy fleets come back. I do like this module, like hard counters, like most like rapid like Caracal doctrines that are there. Like it's like such a big counter to like rapid light caracals, which have been like the flavor of the month, like skirmish doctrine for 4 years. Like harpy fleets would definitely come back, I think.
Overall, as a CSM member, as a small gang solo PvP or that sort of thing, where do you think this puts assault frigates back in? Do you think it puts them back in play on the small
definitely.
scale as well as a fleet scale, or?
A small gang solo, absolutely, they're coming back. Like they're gonna be like fantastic ships for roaming nullsec and ganking people, and you're gonna see like people just do like NU roams with like 5 people. That kind of stuff is definitely coming back. I think small gang harpy fleets are definitely coming back. Retribution fleets probably coming into the meta game too. I don't really know too much beyond that, but like I definitely know that they're going to be used solo. Like absolutely, they're going to be like one of the best roaming ship options available for nullsec for solo.
Well, and Vertigo is asking, like, how do they stack up against the Jackdaws? That's what replaced the Harpy.
Well, I mean, like, the Jackdaws is a missile comp, and missiles take, like, time to arrive. This is also why they counter rapid light so much. Like, if you... Like, the Jackdaws have to shoot missiles at you. Like, they can't just... Like, and, like, you can activate it in advance. Like, if the Jackdaws are catching you at 100, you have, like, 10 seconds before their missiles arrive. So you have plenty of time to hit that button. And they have, like, you can waste like a lot of their DPS. I don't know if Harpies will directly counter Jackdaws, but I think that it will be like a close matchup.
Now, as far as the hacks go, do you see much change out there?
For
Simply
solo
because of the module.
Yeah, for solo and small gang, I definitely think you'll see like the ones that are already used for solo, like Dymus, Vagabond, Sacrilege, they're definitely going to use it. Like I said, I think Cerberuses, the Reaver style gangs that are already existing, are definitely going to swap over to using it. It might be enough to bring back some of the hacks that were kind of good, but not really now, like Ishtar. But I don't think it's gonna bring Zealot fleets back in, like Drayden said.
So, Tony, do you think these will have an effect on the Alliance tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. Like any change has an effect on the Alliance tournament. But yeah, these like ships are gonna be like insanely powerful in like small gang.
Okay.
The fuck is drunk Canadian doing with his camera?
Dude,
It's
my
upside
Trying to
down.
fix
it's
it.
fucking right,
I'm
and showing
trying to
the-
fix my camera mount. It fell off. It's fucking me around. I don't want to talk about it.
You can just like most cameras come with a mount themselves. You can just put on your monitor.
Don't you just glue it on with syrup?
Yeah, well, the syrup let go, obviously.
Oh, damn.
Syrup, holy shit.
It's not as sticky as it used to be. It's not as young.
Not as
You
virulent.
know what I'm saying.
Vibrant.
Anyways, all right. Well, you know what?
Refill
Look,
time.
Drops.
It's good. It's good to see them doing something with assault frigates because again, I mean, they've got these fucking legacy ships out there that when you put them up against Tech 3s, it has been a tough few years for some of these classes of ships.
No, I think the module is like very interesting because of that. Like one of the things they said in the design is like hacks and T3Cs have always been kind of like weird, right? Like if you buff hacks, like T3Cs took over the role of hacks. If you buff hacks to the point where they threaten T3Cs, and people just use hacks and T3Cs are garbage, right? Like they're both trying to fight for the same role. But by giving them,
Well,
like,
they really, and this was always sort of the problem was that them fighting for the same role. T3Cs were supposed to have modularity. They were supposed to be flexible. They were supposed to be hull classes that were flexible, not better necessarily than any existing hull that was already out there. And that's where they kind of fucked up because these things became better than pretty much anything else, that they could morph themselves into.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think when they came out, like, we didn't really see, like, T3C fleets for a long time, right? Because of the skill point loss and because of, like, how rare they were initially and, just things being up in the air.
Tengus were the big one that you saw at first, right? Like,
yeah.
The whole graduation from, like, Drake fleet to Tengu fleet.
Yeah, like, I think it took about a year, right, before we started seeing, like, Tengus come into the meta, and then, like, I think it was mostly missile Tengus, right? And then after that, we sort of saw, like, about 6 months later, we kind of saw, like, the invention of, like, slippery Petes, which were, like, the real cancer meta, and the Legions and the Proteuses.
Yeah, it may have been a little longer. I mean, it felt like the whole replacement Drake Tengu was kind of around for a while before you then started to get into some of the other ship classes. But certainly Tengu was like the first one. I mean, it was the first one. And of course you had to have people train into it, right? So it wasn't like you could switch off that quickly. But then over time, as you had people switching into these new T3s, but it just became this thing where it was they could do it better. They were cruisers. They weren't battle cruisers. They had better sig radius. They had all of the things that were just better, and it completely made these other ships just fall to the wayside. And they've been battling that ever since.
Yeah, and this module's kind of cool because it gives them like insane tank, but for a short duration, so it kind of separates them a little from T3Cs. Like T3Cs are kind of like tanky all the time, but like hacks like have like a small like window where they're like super extra more tanky than T3Cs.
Yep. All right. Well, we're gonna move on here to unless anybody else has anything to say about assault frigates or hacks or assault damage control.
Yeah, I do, and I think it's actually
Where you been, Jen?
Specifically, I just want to say that I don't think Suetonia is going to get enough credit for like all the work he put in like collecting stats and talking to CCP about it.
Well, you know what? I don't expect Suetonia to tell us about all the hard work he did on the CSM. Why don't you tell us about all the hard work that Suetonia did on the CSM? Because you know what? This is the kind of thing that got Suetonia elected to the CSM, was his knowledge of those kinds of fucking ship stats and things like that.
Well, I just want to say thank you to Jintan because, the problem with sucking your own dick is it feels more like a dick in your mouth rather than a mouth on your dick.
But go ahead,
Jen.
Of course it
a
went
dick
there.
in your
Go
mouth
ahead,
and
Jen.
a mouth
Give a
on
reach
your
around
dick.
here and let the people out there know what somebody was doing on the CSM.
Suetonia just sat down and like broke down every single AFs, like placing the meta, why it wasn't good, like wrote down some suggestions for changes. He specifically brought up the comparison between AF speed and frigate speed that I used in my article about AFs. He broke down that and how that looked in relation to hacks. He was the one bringing up the topic of the previous hack capacitor rebuff, which is what was used as justification for giving the AFs that capacitor buff that you guys talked about earlier, because it had already been done before. They just never thought to follow it through to AFs. What else you've done a lot though? I know you were discussing with Rise like different rework possibilities for the Jaguar and a couple of other ships. There's a lot of work goes into that. A lot of work goes into kind of explaining to CCP, here's where everything fits in, here's what the effects of these changes might be. And, that's something that I'm not, 100% equipped for. And you need the Suetonias and Mr. Hydes of the world to do.
I was just gonna say. I mean, that was his niche, right? I mean, like you've got people that get on the CSM, and they're all big fucking high level, whatnot about this, that, or the other thing. And then you get those guys like a Suetonia or a Mr. Hyde or Gorski in some ways, that really know the fucking numbers, and they're focused on it on that individual kind of small gang level. And they are able to communicate it to CCP in a way that kind of, I'm going to be honest, a lot of these nullsec guys, when it comes to ship rebalancing, are not in anything other than, but if I bring 250 of these, what does it mean? So it's always good to have that kind of really data-driven, individual that's on there, because they're the ones that can get that fucking point across.
Yeah, it's also nice to just talk about something that really went well with our interactions with CCP as well.
So what didn't go well then, Jim?
Yeah, I was just what didn't go well?
We're totally mentally segued
like,
us into, but what do you really want to say, Jen?
No, I'm just saying that almost all the communication CCP tends to have with the the CSM has about CCP to you guys is normally yeah, this shit didn't go well. We talked to them about this, but they didn't. you know, change their mind on it, or we couldn't talk them around for it. And this is like a proper collaboration between CCP and CSM that had results that I think everyone thinks is at least interesting. No one's screaming like, this is going to break the game, this is terrible, why would you do this? It's nice. Especially the stat buffs, which are the things that most people are happy about.
How do they come up with, you know, we're going to bump this from 56 power grid to
62.
61.
Yeah, whatever.
That's
whatever
even
the number
sometimes
is.
a bigger bump. Like the thing is, like,
Because you have to take into account all the different fittings that can fit on a particular ship to make that CPU work, right?
And
so
not
how
just-
does that happen?
not just all the like what fittings will generally get used with that, and if you allow that extra little bit of grid. Now, how would the fit change? Because there might be modules that you would normally put on that ship, but that just don't fit, and so they never go on there with the combination of others. So yeah, there's that. But it's like even like there's that one's which like that's only like 6 or 7 power grid, which could be big. But like I'm talking like sometimes you'll see tweaks that are like so minor, where it's like, okay, this ship is getting like 2% more resist on shields or on like a EM shields. It's like that's such a small amount. Like it's like. It almost in your mind that you would think like that's not gonna do anything, but it is a balance shift of some kind.
Until you need to buy that implant, you're like,
yeah.
fuck,
Until you,
more grid.
I mean, when you're warping away with 20 structure left, you're like that fucking like that 2% shields, man.
I don't know how many times I've been trying to fit like an Enyo or an Ishkur and been like a couple power grid off, and it's like, man, come on. So like, it 100% makes a difference.
I am wondering, and look, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but like, when they're having these conversations or when they come up with this, it's like, how do they arrive at such kind of, what might to many people seem an arbitrary number? CSM guys.
I think you just need like people who are really experienced with flying those ships, fitting those ships. What are the meta ships? Then you need to like go into Python. You need to like look at the new possibilities and things like. If you just spend like 2 to 3 hours, just look how is it flown now? What extra modules can you upgrade on it? What are different fits you can do on it? Like just things like that is generally how you look at like grid changes.
But like they probably look at it and say, we don't want to allow people to build the perfect ship, right? That this ship, if it uses it, this would be perfect.
I don't
Those
think you want-
are those are Alliance tournament ships. They already exist. You just gotta be rich, Dirk.
Or you just buy the offers.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, then there we go. All right, we're gonna move on to look, another week, another fucking Keepstar, another Keepstar is under siege. So I want to bring Opner in here to kind of tell us about what's going on with the DRF assaulting a triumvirate Keepstar down in A24 LTAC V in Inns Mama. What's going on down there?
Fairly good sieging mechanics. Actually, so like in reverse of the 9-4 fight,
Fairly
where...
good sieging mechanic. So you have no tie-dye.
Well,
is that
it's
what
only
you're
been
talking about?
peaking at there's been tie-dye, but it's been peaking at like 2,500 dudes in local.
Yeah.
So the tie-dye is manageable, and it does go to 10% when like fighters initially get launched, but then it dials right back, and it hovers between like 20-30%. It's actually pretty good.
Yep.
So
That's
who's
the big
fighting
thing
who?
is the
Who's fighting who in this one?
So Tri is defending with the help of Red Menace and all of the southern Russians, and they have Skill Yourself, so former Pizza dudes, a lot of former Tri dudes, also some other random sort of groups, a lot of low-sec groups come in to help, but it's all sort of third-party ad hoc. There isn't a coordinated effort seeming to defend their space at this point. As far
Is
as
this a significant Keepstar? Is it a strategic location? A lot of assets? Whose is it?
It is Tri's only Keepstar, to my knowledge. So I mean that is strategic in that it is where they
It's
can
the
park their
homeland.
super safely.
Yeah, it's strategic in itself. That they
The
only have
ancestral
one.
homeland for Triumvirate.
Yeah, I'm not.
Stalingrad.
This is the thing. Tri is one of those groups that they are very elite. They have coffin alts, so like at the end of the day, this is not going to end them in any like substantive way. It is just going to make their life more difficult, not having the convenience, and it's a pretty big psychological boost on our side. Like if you cannot
How long has that
defend
Keepstar been up?
not long after the launch came. I think they got theirs up before we did.
So like a while. So
Yeah,
they're probably pretty well situated in it.
Yeah, definitely. They've got it fully defended. It's got all the things around it.
Because I mean, if it just went up and it was dying, maybe it's not such a huge deal. But if like people are actually living there and have a lot of shit in there, that's a bit more of a big deal.
I mean, so here's the thing: they have Fortizar still in the system. We decided to go for the big punch before the little stuff, and that. So they're gonna have asset safety. It'll be 5 days, but this is not a quick war. Like nobody's looking at this like, oh, this will be the end of the war. This will be the headshot that makes Try quit. Like that's unrealistic in the current warfare. Like Try is done when they decide to go do something else or dissolve. Like that's the end game, right? But this Keepstar, I think is going to be a little push in that direction. Say, hey guys, maybe you go find something more interesting, because yeah, the fights down there. There's some good ones. There's a few good ones. There's a lot of bad ones though that are just not fun on any sides. Because yeah, Fozzie is. It has possibility. Yeah, it has possibilities, but not when both sides can field 100 dudes that kind of know what they're doing, and they're in different time zones for the most part with those 100 dudes. So.
Well, I mean, forget about Fozzie. If what you're doing is down there, grinding out and demoralizing the thing, you don't need to take Sov. You don't need to go after their fucking iHubs. It's not like they're using their iHubs for anything ratting. If you're, they're kind of laying waste to their territory. You can do the fucking Sov cleanup afterwards. However, when you say that this is not going to be the thing, because what I was hearing before the show was sort of about the fact that even they seem to be convinced that this is going to die.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then, look, if you can take their biggest chip off the fucking board, and they seem to be acknowledging the fact that you're going to take their biggest chip off the board, all the Fortizars in the fucking world down there are don't really mean shit at that point, right?
That's a morale indicator. Is like if they're willing to give up their big like you said, their big piece, then they might just be like, well, fuck, if we can't defend that, what makes us think we can defend the smaller ones?
So this is the thing: the Keepstars are really expensive, and you can only go through so many of them before you're broke. Fortizars, on the other hand, are kind of cheap enough that you can continually keep anchoring them. And Try does have a lot of strength in deep US. They can bring Fraternity in China or Chinese time. They have a lot more options and flexibility as far as continually dropping them. So it is one of those things where if Try wants to keep up the fight, they can go as long as they want. They have that deep enough war chest, and
It doesn't really matter that there's citadels or anything, right? Like the end game is making the other side quit logging in. Like that's how you win. So like this is like a significant loss for them if they lose it or when they lose it. But if they want to keep going, they're going to keep going.
Pretty much.
Like the only way you win a war is by making somebody leave the space because they don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, and this is the thing. The one thing I'm really happy about is in comparison to 9TAC4, where you had 6,000 people in local and everyone cried about how it was a shit show. We are getting 2,400 in local for these, and I spent the last 15 minutes of the timer on the shield timer in 0 tie-dye with fighters instantly responding, which I now get why CCP was so excited about this and why they thought this was great mechanically, because when you do that fight, it is actually fun, and it was super awesome being in that fighter dog fight, going around and like having the UI be instinctual with it. It felt right. Everything was moving the way it should. And so I've done a lot of these. I've done both ways, and I get why CCP was excited about that and why they thought it would work.
I don't think that if we can't get a good fight and good server mechanics out of 9TAC4, I don't think anybody out there should be allowed to attack a Keepstar and not have it be completely tie-dyed down. So I'm calling on all the world to show up for the final timer on Monday.
Put your bitter vet away and stop it.
And you know what? And just from here on out, we will not allow Keepstars to have anything other than max tie-dye. Just come with your shuttle and just fucking buzz around and just tie the shit.
You're being bitter. Stop it.
Like I told
just because other people can have fun doesn't mean we have to.
You can't
As the
do
owner
a
of
shuttle.
Keepstar, I agree with this policy. I will support
we
it.
can't
I will
have
be
fun,
there at
nobody has
824 with
fun.
him.
You gotta have smart bombs, so you can't use the shuttle.
Huh?
Smart
Who's
bombs do
using a
cause a lot of
shuttle?
tie-dye.
Smart
Like I
bombs
said, I
cause
did try to
tie-dye.
get
Having a
somebody
shuttle
on from.
will do shit.
I did try to look around
So
out there for
drones.
people that I knew from from Try and
Show
whatnot.
them
And
new
I got
whiskers.
and I got a late start this week. With trying to find somebody. Definitely next week, when after this shit goes down, I will try and spend the next fucking week to have that perspective on, because I do want that perspective. Look, not that I'm getting all fucking talking in stations on this and everything and like equality and shit, but I do want to have the other perspective. Just from not from the propaganda standpoint, but more from just kind of the battle standpoint. Tell me about the battles that have happened. Are they using the standard coward tactic of trebucheting fucking fighters across the 1,000 kilometers and blah blah?
They Tri did when they attacked our staging fort Azar, which kind of gave us a little bit of trouble figuring out how to counter it. They didn't. They weren't able to make it work on the armor, and then we haven't bothered on ours, just because we have a big old swarm of things they go over, and we have 3 or 4 battleship fleets. So
Why is it you call it a coward technique when it's just like a viable technique?
No, it's hold on. Not because it's viable, but because it's the smart thing to do. If you don't want to risk the actual ships and you're just willing to risk what to you is basically fucking ammo, all right, the fighters, then that's exactly what you should do because of the fucking tether mechanics and everything else the way they work right now.
Yeah, why not use it? It's not really cowardice. It's just like how can we take this with minimal losses?
It's utilizing the mechanics for what they are so that you can be, you can be as close to riskless as possible.
I mean, I don't think it's cowardly mechanics.
This is against nobody out there. This is like everybody uses this technique if they have the capability to do it.
Well, this is the thing. It's not. I don't think it's a matter of cowardice. I think it's just a matter of like we don't like waiting for our fighters to fly 1,000 kilometers, right? So
you
it's
don't
not
set up the command destroyer chain.
We don't, because it's 1,500 km, and like at the end of the day, we're gonna be here for a few hours anyways. Like we just get out there early, and then we wait for them to come home. Like it's not the hugest thing in the world. It isn't even that big of a time savings, especially when you're trying to coordinate between a bunch of alliances that don't actually all speak the same language. So the less FC complications we can have, and the less subgroups we can deal with, like we're all pretty okay with that. So for the minor convenience of hey, this takes 10 seconds versus hey, this takes 15 to 20 minutes to set up, we can live with that.
So when's the final timer?
Midnight Eve time, Tuesday morning. So Monday night U.S. time, going into Tuesday.
So, what time Monday night?
Time. East Coast prime time. So that would be what, 7 p.m. East Coast time?
Yes.
I'll probably be at work. Sounds like fun though.
Yeah, I will be at work or heading home. So
what, I'm sorry, what time Eve time?
Midnight.
Yeah, midnight.
Tuesday Eve time. So East Coast is -5 right now from UTC because I know I'm -8.
Yeah, we're -8.
So that would be what? 6 p.m.
No, 7 p.m. East Coast time. 7 p.m. East Coast time. 4 p.m.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, my math is great.
On Monday night.
Yeah.
So pure, rich, adulterated fucking U.S. time zone.
Yeah, seriously.
All right.
And people on the West Coast can get home in time after work if it's still, being shot at. Go for it. Do it.
Well, the tie-dye will be up in that system, so you could probably get down there and, not too much time will have passed.
Yeah, especially if that's Monday. That'd be Monday night our time. If that's Tuesday midnight, right? So it's not Wednesday morning; it's Tuesday morning midnight.
Yeah. That's UTC. It'll be. It's essentially you can think of it even UTC could think of it as Monday night at midnight because
right.
Technically that's Tuesday, but I still think of it as Monday because I don't go to sleep till like 2 in the morning, and I still consider it the same day.
Abner, how have the other? How was the initial fight? How was the armor timer compared to that? And what do you expect for the final timer? Do you think that they've got more to bring to bear for the final timer?
No. I think they called out all they could for the armor. It was a little bit increased, but it was still probably... It ended up being about the same. If they can get Fraternity to alarm clock in enough dudes to make a difference, maybe that would be the only thing I could think. Fraternity was absent at the armor, I do believe, but it was that time of day is going to be horrible for Chinese time zone, so that was kind of expected. Monday's a little better, not much, but
wouldn't that be like 9 o'clock in the morning Chinese time zone?
Yeah, pretty much. But
yeah, it's like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
The way we
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
bad
figured it
time
out,
for them.
yeah, the way we kind of figured it was like people might be more willing to take a Monday off because extending that weekend isn't the most horrible thing in the world for anyone. But Tuesday,
Maybe
not so much.
maybe they'll just call in sick in China.
That's the thing, they might, and they might bring a decent number of dudes. And even if they bring a small fleet, if tie-dye gets high enough and they can pull off enough time, they might do it. They still have structures in the air or in the system, so they have more options than a lot of other people that have been in CO2 didn't have a ton of options as far as defending MTACO, right? Like if that Keepstar died, you couldn't commit a big force of ships on it. And Try is going to be kind of in the same spot where they're going to have to be ready to evac at the 15% mark or maybe a little more, depending on tie-dye, but they can still bring a decent fight if they want to. They can try to play around with the mechanics, and if they get tie-dye, all of a sudden GTFO mods might make it, the ability to save it. Who knows?
Have they used GTFOs in the past?
They had them ready. They had 11 Titans sitting out there. That wasn't enough to do anything. It was enough to kill some battleships, but it was not enough to actually win the fight. So we assumed that those were all ready with their GTFO modules to try to boost people out, but I guess they decided against it. We also spread out pretty well for that. Like, we've been waiting for them to try it.
Exactly, Keisha. What's the punishment for taking a day off in China to play a video game? I don't know. It's not South Korea where, you can just take days off to play video games. In fact, I think in South Korea they actually have video game days off. I think that's just part of their culture.
South Korea.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays.
South Korea glorifies people who play video games, though. So.
Faker's a national hero.
Yeah.
I think North Korea, don't used to have a job being a gold miner on WoW, so isn't that kind of the same thing?
Sort of similar.
Server farms.
Jin.
South Koreans can mine bitcoins at their
So
I see you typing out there about how you're going to head off to bed. So so I'm asking, are you going to head off to bed?
Yeah, I am gonna go to sleep. It's 3 a.m.
Are you?
Have a good night, Jin.
Are you gonna have some pizza or a curry first, or some flavor?
I got some
before
leftover
bed?
chicken pesto, pesto chicken pasta in the fridge, so I'm probably gonna eat that.
Nice.
What about some Jaffa cakes? I hear those are pretty big in Britain.
I don't have anything sweet left in my house. I've already eaten it.
Curly whirlies.
Oh man, I wish. Well, anyway, it's been good. Thanks for letting me come on and derail your show for an hour.
Hey man, anytime you want, you're always welcome. We like the voices. I do want to. This show is not one that's going to cover the monthly economic report unless there's something really staggering out there. But I do want to kind of skip over to
for the first time ever.
Yeah, but you know what? You say that, but everything was down in fucking Delve this month.
I saw some
because
down
everybody
numbers.
The first thing that I want to say about the monthly economic report is this: it's January's monthly economic report. It was released on February fucking 2nd.
I think your comment was, "Holy fuck, that was fast."
It was fast. It's I don't remember any other month prior where they've gotten it out this quickly. Now, granted, this is just he's probably got this on a fucking macro or whatever to be able to just punch out what it needs to report, right? And then somebody just needs to throw some quick words together or whatever.
It's either in Tableau. I would guess it's either in Tableau or SQL
Orion
Server.
needs is in comms. Might need drag.
I got him. Hey, Orion.
No, he's in.
He's
There
in.
he is. You know what? We're gonna revert backwards because we've got somebody here who's from the Tri side who's going to give kind of a little bit of a perspective on their side before we come back to talk about how mining slipped in Delve. Orion, what's up, bro?
What's going on, folks?
Hey, so we've already talked about kind of this Keepstar thing that's going on down there. But I totally did want somebody from the Tri side. What's your perspective on what's going on down there?
Just another fight for us. The overall feeling within Tri is, it's the Keepstar. We expect to have probably no less than 1,000 dudes come and shoot this thing, and gonna have some fun doing it.
Now, who are the Tri allies in this? Who's there?
Currently, as far as
Who's
I'm
there
tracking,
coming to step up on Tri's behalf in order to save what is your only Keepstar? Yes.
As far as I know, yeah. As far as I'm tracking, FRT, of course, if they can wake up early for this, we can't really blame them if they can't. RMC has shown up for us. Lumpy has shown up for us. Those are the groups I've seen blue. Great Wildlands Coalition has also been some bros. Unspoken Alliance has done some good things for us. But again, most of those groups have traditionally not been blue to us, only for, I think, this Keepstar thing, other than FRT.
Well, Lumpy was blue to you guys for a while. They came into Vanguard before you guys shut it down, and they had space with you guys. So
yeah, I'm not saying that it wasn't the case. I'm relatively new to Triumvirate. Let me break that down for a bit, though.
Okay, so you're relatively new there. So kind of give that sort of outsider's perspective of what's the overall mood. I mean, like, is this something that Tri seems to be willing to lose, go all in on?
I think we'll go all in on it anyway. I mean, we've been doing what we can against the odds. I mean, there's only so much you can do when you have to grind through 500 battleship at a time. I don't understand what the first RF attempt was in that ridiculous event that they tried to do before. They finally stepped up and brought some real ships, but they had to bring in a bunch of other groups outside to make this happen too. So it's just a matter of how we adjust to what they bring this time around and see if we can grind through it fast enough.
Yep. Let's see here. Kishi out there says, I think Tri needs to follow Pandemic towards lead on this. Scorpions and
Griffins.
And Griffins.
Yeah, Scorpions and Griffins.
Just jam as
jam
much
everybody
as
out.
you can, right?
And don't doomsday your Griffins.
No.
Well, it wasn't Doomsday. It was the point defense?
The point defense, yeah.
Well, and it was point defense
they warped at zero
to clear drones.
Yeah, and ended up wiping out their Griffin fleet.
To be fair, Pandemic Horde also managed to lose most of their Jackdaw fleet on the last timer.
Orion, go.
That was amazing as well. Then the it's a matter of just running through the DPS, and the overall feeling from Tri is whatever. It's not going to change anything for us. We lose a structure, we carry on.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? Like, you have to kill the other side's will to live. It doesn't matter how many structures you kill. Like, that helps kill their will, but if they're going to keep logging in, then it doesn't matter.
I mean, and this is, for this timer specifically, since it's during the U.S. time zone, that's the only time DCU and them guys have shown up for anything in mass. They've effectively stopped doing anything in that U.S. time zone. We've ground back all the stuff, for the most part, that they've taken from us.
If you were
so I'm not really sure what the end objective is for the DCU on this.
Right. If you were to win the fight, what would be? How would you think you would approach try to counter the fight if you're losing it? I mean, if you know what I'm saying. What's your counter right now? If you can talk about it.
Counter to the Keepstar fight, or what they're currently?
Yeah. What do you think they're going to plan, and where you want to head to, fend off the attack on the Keepstar?
I mean, I can't go into details of what we want to do. I mean, we have ideas out there, but at the end of the day, it just matters on what they show up. And we're getting into that groups are going to be different comps. Last time, Tess showed up with Foons as well to help grind it down. They switched to the Nightmares for the AB bonus, so the Dreads couldn't hit them near as effectively. So it's all a matter of what they do. They're using the SS Fighter Blob and stuff like that. So we didn't want to feed fighters an SS Fighter Blob until the end, I think, of the armor timer that one time. So it's just a matter of seeing what everyone comes with. We can't foretell who all is going to show up for this thing. It's a structure timer for a Keepstar. 90% Eve is going to show up. So it's a matter of adjusting to what shows up.
Have you brought in a lot of friends you think can help you on this?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know Tri Leadership has reached out to people. Who shows up is who shows up. I mean, I don't know of any confirmations. I'm strictly just a skirmish FC for the most part.
I think you should hire goons to just bring every alt possible in a ship and just tie-dye the fuck out of the system.
See, that's the thing. We've had the tie-dye's been not nearly as bad as 9 Tech 4, of course, but it's
I know. Pull the tie-dye shield up.
We don't want that, though.
Well, hold on. Do you want that more or less than losing the Keepstar?
It doesn't matter. If the Keepstar dies, we don't care. That's the whole point. We've all been talking about. We don't care. This means nothing. Yes, it sucks to lose the big structure. Okay. but it doesn't change anything. We're still gonna be right there.
Eve Clatton just resubbed for 2 months. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome back. All right.
But again, if they want to keep doing this, they're gonna have to keep calling test horde for every structure timer.
Right,
I mean,
but
to be
of course,
fair-
if you lose the biggest target, then those other structure timers get a bit easier as well.
I mean, you would hope for, I'm sure that's what the DRF hopes.
And so there's the thing. It definitely gives us at least some strategic parity in that we can both see who's logging in supers when, and it leaves us both in the same scenario of like, yeah, you can coffin tunes, but does that leave you in less of a combat effective situation? It's a little bit of an advantage again for us to bring that down, to bring some parity to the field.
When you say us and we, do you mean explicit alliance or do you mean the DRF?
DRF.
Because I've got to. The DRF doesn't have places that can actually station supers without having coffin tunes?
No, not within range right now.
And we're talking about two different entities here. The DRF is a big entity, and they're not built the same as Tri. Tri is built similar to where, those tunes sit in those supers from those. There's not a lot of swapping out kind of deal, you know what I mean? Whereas 90% of the DRF and DCU are all just like, they're bringing their ratting boats down here to do half this stuff.
For the structure? Right. Wait. They're bringing the ratty boats?
No, we're not bringing ratting boats.
You're bringing ratting boats?
You're bringing ratty boats?
So
Vexor Navy issues?
What
Can I
was the
come?
next
I
one
mean,
doing?
Players
we're
are just stupid
actually,
rats.
We tried that, saw if it was going to work. We're like, oh yeah, this went as badly as expected.
Can I bring my Ashimu?
No, it died
Who's
today.
ratting an Ashimu? Wait, hold on.
No, I don't rat in an Ashimu.
Literally
Drayden.
nobody
Drayden
who flies
died.
Ashimus
I
anymore,
died
bro.
in an Ashimu.
Aren't you guys just handing those out like candy over there in Dev?
No, nobody ever flies Ashimus. I'm surprised I even found one on the market, even in 1DQ. But no, I flew one out to test space and died in a bubble, and then forgot that I was in my implant clone, so that was like another 130 mil down the drain.
Drayden's like, I'm solo PvPing, and then he just gets gate camped and
And then
dies.
I jumped into Stabber, and then I went over up into like I don't know what low sec I was in, like, and then I was like, oh,
You
it's a
tried to get
curse, and I just like zoomed into a curse, and it's like newt you out, kill you. It was great. Good times.
But anyways, we'll see. We'll
sorry.
see how this goes down. It'll be Monday night in U.S. time zone. I expect that INN is going to have coverage of what's going down. I believe that Matterall is going to be hosting it again because what the fuck? I mean, it's like if we can't get one to blow up out in fucking Cloud Ring, maybe we'll see something blow the fuck up out there, or we'll have at least a tie-dye fight that that everything works in. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I mean,
What's the system again?
A24.
Oh, in your mama. Okay.
Yes.
you guys did really good with the stream. Like, I had to watch 20 different streams, I think, when I got home from work, and it was a long day for me at work. I couldn't watch while there. Never can. And I'm like, oh, there's this massive fight in wherever the fuck that everyone's talking about. Let me go try to find it. So I was watching, I think it was INN with Matterall, and you guys were doing really good at talking to people, figuring things out, recapping. And then, like, every other stream was just, like, some face cam with people going, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, they're just shooting each other. Yeah. And I'm like,
because the problem in a tie-dye fight like that, right? It's where we were kind of blessed to have the people on that we did who were able to, like, provide filler and things like that, right? If all those people are watching is what's on the screen, let alone even if they are in the system and see, it's going so slow that they cannot see what is actually happening.
But you say that, so like I watched you guys, and then I watched Christopher Wow. And Christopher Wow, I believe, was in the fight. I'm not sure if he was in the super or like a subcap, but I was watching him, and he was like talking about all the strategic. So his camera was moving fine. I know you guys had kind of like the static camera, because Life Shifter was nervous about moving it. But like Chris Wow was zooming around the map. He was like, oh, these people are probably attempting to do XYZ. He wasn't like in top FC or anything like that. He didn't have any insight into like the strategy, but he was saying what he thought would happen or what he thinks people will be doing, like different fleets warping in, doing different things. And like I super appreciate that, because like as somebody who's not there and like obviously can't move the camera, him doing that was helpful. But then you guys having the filler, recapping things, talking about things was helpful too. And like, trust me, I went through like 20 fucking streams of like people sitting there with the face cam blocking the screen, not explaining who is red, who is blue, not explaining
what really
anything.
works well for that is Skype desktop share. is what I was saying afterwards. Like you could have had a bunch of people covering different angles and then streamed like your Skype with desktop share.
I was actually talking about that before, and I don't think it's going to come to bear in this one here. But having had to do 9 TAC 4 all over again, we would have had multiple camera angles, and it would have actually been some of those people either through desktop share or being able to like stream to their own stream and then pull that up as your correspondent angle, sort of a thing, right? In a place where you feel as though, you know what, look, if I even begin to kind of try and pan my camera, something bad might happen, which actually happened on some of those streams out there where they put the camera and they fucking disco.
Right?
And
like
I mean,
when you're zoomed out that far, that happens. Like if you actually go
there's a lot of shit on your screen.
It's usually a lot better.
I mean,
because a streamer can't turn fucking brackets off, people, just so you know. They can't
you
go
have
fucking
to have
potato mode.
You have to have brackets
a streamer 100% can. But I mean, I've done that before. I mean, I know Opa does. He does more of the cinematography.
You can't do it when you're trying to show people
out
there.
The thing is, like,
show all the fighters.
But I mean, I've streamed those massive fights before, and it's very straightforward. Like, you get your overview set up, you get, like, you know, you always want to kind of show local, not like the shit posting, but kind of the number or whatever.
Yep.
You have something to explain, the colors, whether it's in your title or on screen, and then you just kind of jump around and commentate. Like, it's actually super straightforward if you know what you're doing.
That's like the Mad
something
Annie
else they can do instead of taking
a...
Yeah, Matt, Annie, Opa have been doing it for years, but I mean, like, there's a lot of people who are able to do commentary, or like some people will sit there and they're like, okay, I'm gonna do the new bro perspective, and so they just sit there, kind of show a static screen, and just answer questions that people come in. Like, there's a lot of different angles you can get, and it's like every stream I went to was like some mumbo jumbo mix, and nobody knew what the fuck was going on, and it was like extremely frustrating. Like the fact that I think there was like a fate, like when Elise talked, he said there was like a decoy Sino that 4nixes jumped to. I couldn't figure that out until I think I watched like Dirk, your stream, and the INN stream after like 15 minutes, because no one was ever talking about that.
Well,
and,
because
like,
you've also got hold on, you've also got to have somebody who knows what happened, like literally knows what happened, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And the reports were coming in. You know, because we had people there from the Imperium side, and we had people there from the you know from the north side. So both of them knew that, you know what, some Nixes had jumped to a false Sino. So
even when that Sino first went up, nobody knew what would happen. Even on the INN stream, people were like, "Wait, 4nixes just jumped in," and it was like a little bit later that someone was like, "Okay, that was a decoy."
Somebody said there was a Sino up. Somebody said Sino up, and then all of a sudden, you know, 1, 2, 3,
4nixes jumped to their death.
Oh my God, 4nixes! What the hell just happened? Was that
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
kind of?
But in a fight like that where things are going slow, you've also got to have some commentary on there, and we were lucky to have people on there who can sit there and talk about various aspects of what the fight would be like, even in a freaking, you know, tie-dye situation or a max tie-dye situation, and kind of what you could expect and all that kind of stuff. It fills the airtime, because it's like, as fun as it is to watch a slow-moving Twitch screen, it is way better to have like the voices kind of like, you know, talking behind it, and at least giving some sort of commentary, even if it's not play-by-play. I mean, this is not the Alliance tournament, right? This
sometimes play-by-play is super helpful,
and much, and much
like even I've seen streams where like there'll be like an amazing bombing run happening and people just miss it, like a very important bombing run play, or, you know, the command destroyer is booshing people off, or like strategic warp-ins or something like that, and people just miss it. They're like, oh yeah, there's like 2 blobs fighting. It's like, no, when you break it down, sometimes you can see some really intricate fleet play going on, and people just miss it. And it's like, as like an outside person, it's like, okay, like generally I want to know at like a high level what's happening, but like if you guys are missing super critical things that like sway the tide of a fight, then it's like why am I watching this? Like, I should go watch somebody who's actually paying attention to that.
You know what annoyed me the most out of like being on the commentating stream and trying to help Matter all out with that, you know, with balancing kind of the the people that were there to talk, while also being in a fleet, besides like not being able to log in after I got crammed up in the jump tunnel, but watching the stream, right? Because now I don't have eyes on the battlefield. I'm completely out of that. So I'm only seeing what's on the screen like everybody else is. The fucking sentries that got dropped and just sat there, because on that screen I couldn't tell the difference between a bunch of stationary sentries and fighters that had gotten launched but now weren't moving. Because so I'm starting to think, is this blob down here a bunch of fighters that their pilots had gotten disconnected or what have you? It was like things like that sort of really fucking ate at me the whole time, because I'm just seeing this bunch of fucking brackets that aren't moving.
So here's the thing. This Sunday, mute the Super Bowl for like 5 minutes, like during playtime, not during ads.
You can't
just
do
mute
that.
it and
just gotta
see
mute it.
that experience of
How are you
watching
gonna catch
a
the
sporting
Brady
event.
tears? Sorry.
Here's the thing. Watch it and you're going to see this is what happens when you have no audio, no commentary, no one describing the game on a screen that you are watching, and you actually understand the game enough to know what's going on. Imagine if you had no context.
Yeah,
for the
thank
plays.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, 100%.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
imagine
that
if all the
explains
players.
why
That's
I'm
why I
Christian.
don't like
There was
going
probably
to hockey
8,000
games
people.
live.
There's
Hockey
probably
games are
8,000
so
people
good,
that
though.
tuned in to what was
You can't
going
see the
on in
puck,
that
though.
fight that had no clue what EVE Online was.
And granted,
And it,
sorry,
I still
go on
think they
blast.
should
Go
have
on
had
blast.
no,
Epic
it's
Pen
fine.
running for that.
My point is that so many people tuned in because of the hype that all of a sudden they had no clue what was going on.
And
So here's the
sometimes,
thing. Even
sometimes
live, you go to a game, the crowd is educating you about the game. People will be booing, cheering. They will be yelling out what the ref should have called. They will be telling the players what they should be doing. You
Half
have
the time they'll
live
be yelling what
commentary.
what they think the ref should have
Yes.
called though.
But I
It's
mean-
wrong. It's
I mean,
all
at the
wrong.
same
You're right.
time-
That's offside. It's like
You're fucking
Who
blind,
was it?
ref. Get some goddamn
Or if
glasses.
you're in Philadelphia, piss
But,
on
like-
people's hats.
Well, no, there's a big
we
difference.
need
And
those
the
though.
reason
We
why I
need
brought
those
up-
in streams though. Like we need somebody sitting there, like not focusing on what's happening live, but saying things like, "These are the guys in red. These are the guys in blue.
Hold
this
on,
is what
Brain,
they're
I did
attempting to
that.
do,"
Hold on.
without
But-
like breaking it down
but
to very
wait,
detailed
Brain, I
But
did
commentary.
certain
that.
of those things you need to, and this is the problem, especially when you have big events like this, okay? Because we ran from 2, 5, 6, 11,000 viewers and whatnot, right? And they're all coming in and out at various different times, and they're saying, "What is this? Who are who's on what side?" and things like that, right?
That's why we
You've-
needed one of
you've
the things
gotta-
you can draw on the screen.
You've got to have
That would be
basic information on the screen so that they know. Look, the people that
Wait.
are this are this. The people that are this are on this side.
Wait,
over
hold
here.
on. Now this is the thing with the 9-Tech R4 9-Tech 4 RP stream. Screen now with a static picture. Well, it was a moving thing, but like it's realistically a static picture in those fights. The screen real estate, they call it real estate for the stream. Like it's not as important, but the thing is, like you don't want to clutter it up with a bunch of like text explanations.
Yes, you fucking do. Otherwise, what has
No.
to happen is
Wait. Hold on.
questions come up in Twitch chat.
Yes, and
we
it's
are
the same
we
questions
are
over and over.
No, and we are engaged with Twitch chat. We want people who are out there watching to understand what it is they're looking at, so that people don't have to hear at the same time.
I know.
Guess what? I just told you it's 57% 3 minutes ago. Now I got to say it again.
Okay, yeah. There's the percentage and stuff like that, but like as far as like who's red, who's blue, what like what I did for that one, because I knew I was watching the stream and I saw people constantly saying like, "What am I looking at? What is this? What's the red boxes?
That's
what
different.
And
That's different. You're going to have to explain it to people who don't understand what they're looking at. However, you
right, but
don't
what I did
want
was
to
I just
have to
made a
explain
text
basic
document and I would
fundamental
just link
information.
it, and it's like, if you guys don't know what Eve is, read this, and it was just like a little quick 1-page summary of like, this is who the red people are, this is what the blue people are, this is what they're fighting over, and this is what's going on in the system. And then like, this is why it looks like everything's static and not moving because of tie-dye, and then an explanation of tie-dye, and then that was it. Basically, it's like that answered like a quarter of the questions that were constantly coming in to the Twitch chat, because there's the fact that there was 10,000 people watching the stream. Probably 3,000 of those people have never seen Eve, don't know what the hell is going on. And so that basically took all their questions away.
And that lower level sort of general stuff, absolutely, okay? But the other stuff, kind of the updating sort of information, that's also something that you've got to have there. And yes, you're going to fucking tie the goddamn screen up with it. I mean, like, parts of it, but you've got to be good about that. And that's why it's a learning experience as we go about it.
So like a armor percentage time, like that, that would be something that would be very good on the stream, and like things like that. That's just like people that know what they're looking at, but they can't see it because the Citadel's not locked up, so it's like they don't know where the timer's at. They don't know what's happening. They're like, put that stuff on the screen.
Updating the timer, I think, is super important too. Like, because it can change so frequently. So it's like, okay, it's still at 57%. We're just talking to so and so from this alliance, blah blah blah. And like that's just one thing you just got to keep
You have
throwing
no
out
idea
there.
how hard that is, though.
Yes, I
You-
do, Dirk. I've streamed these fights. Are you fucking
no.
retarded?
Whoa!
Like, are you goddamn kidding?
Not retarded. I think there's a little bit of downs in you, but like not retarded.
R word.
A little bit of downs.
That was a hard R.
Dirk,
Just
I've
a- just a
literally
little
streamed these
downs.
massive fights before they had the fancy camera.
I
I had to
understand.
fly like
And
1K off
it's
and try
hard-
and angle my
It's hard
camera.
getting that
Brain's
number.
getting triggered.
It's hard getting that number, okay? Like when you need it, right? Because it's one of those things where it's like you can't just have it automated. This is not a fucking API call or anything like that. So therefore,
Yeah,
you've got
someone
to
has
have
to manually update it.
correspondence.
You have to hover over it. So you have somebody hover over it, watching it, and you say, "Oh, it's at 57%," and then you wait,
Yeah,
and you
it
wait, and
is.
you wait, and then you say, "Okay, we rechecked it."
The thing
it's
is,
at
like, the
56%."
percentages go down so slow in those fights. It's like
I
you
don't know
check
how
it every
much you
5
think
minutes
we
and you can
pay
update it. It'd be
people to
fine.
sit around hovering their mouse.
I've done
on
all
their
of this
big
solo.
11-inch
I've done
fucking
all this
mouse
solo,
pad
and
over
I've
one of
done
these
this.
things?
Yes.
Do you want me to
It
fire
is-
up the oven and bake you a hero cookie or something? Like, what the fuck are you getting at?
It's tough to do, but it's very easy to do at the same time. Like
Is it both tough and easy?
it's easy. Yeah,
It's
it's
hard and
easy when
soft.
you have to coordinate a shit ton of things like other people in your stream. Then that might throw some
Is it both
complications
7
in it.
inches and 11 inches at the same time?
Lieutenant Dan,
Like
29
a mouse
months.
pad.
29
Thank
months.
you,
Damn.
Lieutenant Dan. 29
Well,
months.
there's usually a length and a girth.
Anduin says, "As a retard, I'm offended you think Dirk is at my level." I'm sorry, Anduin.
You're not supposed to use the R word on this channel.
Wait,
I
Anduin's
think-
Anduin Spartan's here. What's up, man?
I think a group like INN, you would think for telling what's going on, initial stuff in Eve, like why are here, what's going on. I think if you went in early enough, or if you knew you were going to do a stream like this, you could go or clip it out or something, do like a small thing beforehand and link it to them in the chat. Like, hey, this is who, this is what's going on. Link them to that in chat, and then you can continue on, because you can't. Doing both at the same time kind of clutters things up. If you have the time to do that, that's fine. But
Wow.
That
You
1,000
might be
bit
able to
cheer.
like
Sorry.
minimize it
1,000
like at the
bits.
top or at the bottom. Like there's a lot of like empty space that's like you never really show things at the top or the bottom of the screen. Or sometimes like over local chat. So if you just want to show the local number, then you can have a
You show
box to
shit
say.
like subscribers and who followed and like,
Well,
like
you don't
who
want to see
actually
the test
chalked up
dino
a fucking
spam, like,
donate.
every 2
yeah,
seconds,
yeah.
right?
Well, hold
What
on.
the fuck?
Speaking of, Winter School just dropped $10 in bits. So
I think
yeah.
he wants to
Yep.
talk about large mouse pads.
Oh,
Who
so-
doesn't want to
we
talk
did-
about large mouse pads? Everybody wants a large mouse pad nowadays.
Rain,
Cons
streaming
made
is
large mouse
hard.
pads
Dude, like,
My
things
large
people
mouse
want.
pad. I can't mouse over the thing to see 57%. It's so hard.
Oh
If you're
man.
playing with a fucking
Well,
small
th-
mouse
maybe that's
pad,
maybe
you
that's why.
small
Maybe he
mouse
ran
pad
out of
having
mouse
motherfucker.
pad and he's
Rain,
just
streaming
he's bare
fights
tabling.
to have 10% time
Because he's at
hard.
480 DPI.
Yeah, it's like he's bare tabling and he's got to pull
Fucking
off. You know, he's got to pull
TPI.
off. So because
Not gonna lie, I agree with
He's
Dirk
got to
on the
pull
whole,
out at
like,
480
what
DPI.
percentages of that thing? Because holy crap, fucking, when you're relaying to people,
I'll do a
what
shot for
percentage
you,
is
win.
that? Percentage, the MTO Keepstar, freaking Manny's sitting there like every 5 minutes just keying up. Is it still paused? What percentage is it at? I'd come back
Yeah.
and command it. 2%
just-
lower than last time you asked, and I'd yell
Yeah.
if it wasn't.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, you just constantly say it's one of those things where, like, when you're streaming these things, especially with like, I believe INN had a lot of people. It's just you just gotta say things over and over and over because somebody new is gonna come in. They're not gonna hear it like the last 20 times you said it, so they have to ask.
well, I think Averin, didn't he have it set up to where there was you hit a thing in the Twitch chat and it gave you the D scans, so you didn't have to keep asking for it again. He had it set up where it was command.
Oh, he wasn't
Didn't
on when I
know
got
that.
home, but yeah, if he did that, that's pretty fucking good. Or like,
And you know
Drayden
what would be
linking
really
the-
fucking cool? You know what would be really fucking cool? Is if for certain key fights, right? Certain key things, we can just have every fucking like individual rando fucking streamer out there trying to like be their own little thing. Maybe we find some place where we like, you know, simulcast from, you know, and like, you know, do a single stream where all the fucking high-powered people can all be in the same place at the same fucking time with multiple camera views because we got course like a United Press International or a fucking AP, and then like, you know,
Sort of like
if
some sort
then
of
INN
news
wants to
network?
like stream it out there,
Like
they
a
can
news
like
network.
stream it out, or you know, he could, you know, everyone can, you know, stream it out on his stream or whoever can. But like we team up and like work on this as a single fucking unit.
I mean, I don't see why
for
not.
certain high-profile things. That would be
I can
really
see
fucking cool.
exactly
But
why
you know
not.
what? It would really be really
Why
fucking
not?
cool, except for the fact that everybody's their own
Because then you're
individual
sharing
cock.
viewers, and then like a Varian wants to get the most amount of donations and subs, so he's not gonna want to like go
No,
to
he
another channel.
could do that because he could be like streaming it back to his own fucking stream, all right? But everybody's their own little fucking minion out there thinking, oh man, someday I might be a fucking streamer that could pay my rent.
That's why you should just take all the money you get and give it to charity, and then you can actually work a real job to make money.
Are you saying professional streamer is not a real job?
I mean, I don't know. Do they pay taxes
No,
like
they were
actual
literally
jobs
just
too?
fucking like, we're
Yes,
not
they pay
getting into the
taxes.
fucking taxes.
Oh
that
man, I was
streamers
like,
fucking
don't,
pay. I
please
did
don't
that.
weird
Are
the
you
tax
serious
thing.
right
Segue,
now?
though. That was such a good segue.
Wait.
No, that's the worst segue.
We've
ever.
got
With
3 minutes left. We
we're
do
not
not
getting
have time to
taxes.
get into
Talk
the.
about
We got
taxes?
3 minutes left to talk about mouse pads. Come on,
Keep
guys.
your tax pants on.
Oh man.
God
Okay.
damn
Well,
it.
3 minutes for 3 mouse pads.
Rain's gonna get all hot and horny for taxes here in a second. We better
Dude,
I don't know,
segue into
guys.
something
Can your
else.
mouse pads
Derivative.
can
I
you
said
last 3
girls on
minutes?
mouse pads.
Can you guys
No,
last 3
we're- I
minutes
think-
with
I
mouse
might
pads?
just
Derivatives from
pads.
Chocolate Rain.
We
Let's
have to
go.
be done with mouse pads.
We need exactly, Keisha. We need somebody there that has a fucking like whiteboard and shit that they're fucking marking on because that'll at least be in real time as opposed to fucking tie dye and shit. However,
John Madden
we are going to
fight.
give the last 3 minutes to kind of shout outs for some of the people that were here. I'll just go down the fucking list. Blah blah blah. Regular. Upner, give a fucking shout out, bro. Or like whatever it is you want to say right at the end of the show.
Thanks to everybody for having me, and thanks to everyone in DRF for being with us and making this war actually something interesting to do for a little while. And thanks to all the people that helped me keep my lines running.
So like UAX then.
Yeah, he hasn't been around that much. Care and
I know,
Faffer are huge.
but don't you want to thank UA for being UA?
No. He doesn't need thanks. He is UAX.
I want to
That
thank
is
Mac
who
Tip
he
for
will
being
be.
Mac
He
Tip.
does not need your appreciation.
Orion, what do you got to say?
Thanks, Try. Lethal Injection, my bros there. Thank you all for having me on. If you all need anything from Try, let me know.
Suit, my CSM brother.
Yo.
Oh, no, I'm not a CSM brother. It's more like my CSM media connection to the CSM.
Yo, I'm pretty happy right now.
That's
Do you
incredible.
Well,
want
what are
some
your
shout-outs or
shout-outs?
something? Shout out?
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
Thanks for
He's
that.
very
Are you high on
Okay.
tin?
Okay, like shout out to Jintan for sucking my dick earlier, and also like shout out to Go Aloe. He does like good videos on YouTube.
Was it good for you?
It's always good for him.
Hey, Suit, are you running again this season?
Yeah, probably. I really enjoyed being on the CSM this year, so I'll probably rerun. Hopefully, I'll get on again.
Are they doing CSM again? Like, there hasn't been any
Yeah,
talk
that-
about
yeah.
it.
Yes, this is not the Alliance tournament.
James-
They're doing
James
CSM
Plain.
again.
Sorry, are they doing
Is
the
also
Alliance
there.
tournament again?
Nope.
Yeah, they probably are. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, it was actually confirmed
So
on
for
Talking
him
to
and
Stations on Sunday that the
Just saw
Alliance
the
tournament
comment.
will in fact happen this year.
I have that
So any more
picture.
shoutouts?
Nobody knows about fucking next year. Any more shoutouts? I mean, look,
I got a
do you got
shout-out.
one? Anybody from the cast? Do you got one?
Yeah, I want
Yeah,
to thank the viewers for showing up consistently every week. Because if it wasn't for them, the show wouldn't exist.
don't
Actually,
have
actually, it
viewers.
would.
Damn,
We would
man,
just
like
be
you're sucking
fucking
Twitch
lonely
chat.
as
We would
Thank
just
you.
be
What the
the
fuck is
worst
that?
show ever.
We would
We
be
don't
the
have
worst show
viewers.
ever.
This is all of our alts in Twitch chat yelling at each other when we can't
I
talk
want-
over Dirk.
Is my ratting alts is watching right now? I'm just
Yeah.
typing away furiously.
It's my wormhole.
I want to give a shout out to the CCP mousepad competition for letting
God.
just to for allowing
we go
people
again.
with smaller
Coming up
mouse.
small, baby.
No, I'm just for allowing people with smaller mouse pads to actually feel like they mean something. You know, it's just
Exactly.
like
Can I shout out-
everyone's got to have a
Small
word.
mouse pads.
Give me
It's how you
7-inch
use
mouse
the
pads
mouse
and make
on
it
it.
hurt.
Can I
Alright,
say a
alright,
shout out
so
to
the-
CCP for pink
Okay.
skins? Thanks, Dirk.
Pink skins on
Oh,
your
yeah,
small
pink
mouse
skins.
pads.
Oh yeah,
11
please.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the real time of the fucking world. Because
Can-
you know what? That shit that happened back when people had sales don't matter anymore.
Can
So
we call them
we are
juicy
logging
skins?
off. There's somebody coming up after us. We
Jeez,
may
you
go
need
to
somebody.
sales. Who the
Sweatpants
fuck knows? I got a
skins.
chicken parmesan that I got to get to. Like,
Hey.
or whatever.
Bro,
Is
it's
that
out.
gonna be like
Later,
me?
everybody.
Later,
Thank
Later,
you for
bitches.
fucking listening
Later,
once again.
bitches.
Shots.